This episode is sponsored by Moonlight Liquor, located 265 North Moonlight Road, Gardner, Kansas. Open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Moonlight Liquor is the biggest around with a square footage of 10,000 feet. They carry 48 cooler doors full of domestic and imported beer, a huge craft selection, including local breweries, also accessible through the walk-in cooler. They carry a wide selection of domestic and imported wines, including local wineries and an organic and sustainable wine selection. And of course, a massive selection of spirits in the course.
And for you cigar fans, like myself, Moonlight Liquor has a walk-in humidor that carries a nice variety of over 30 cigar brands. With that being said, sit back, relax, and enjoy the episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Big Modcast. And that crowd noise just gets shorter and shorter every time. Because when we were at the Nest, you let it sit, and I didn't think it was going to stop.
Because it was so loud to us, you don't realize it. Because when we were on air, I noticed it too when I was editing. But when we were there, I can't necessarily hear it, so I don't really know if it was going longer or not.
Yeah.
So it could have been like halfway through, and I didn't even realize it.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
Maybe there's not a lot to clap for that long.
That's true too. Yeah, so the latest podcast just come out, and you did a good job editing that one.
Yeah,
because you didn't have to do much editing to it.
No, that's a lot easier because,
So
like in
that's
these
why
instances
good.
where they won't know, but it looks like a brick wall behind us, but it's a green screen. I mean, obviously everybody's kind of picked up on that. It doesn't look like Well, anyways, but yeah.
No,
So those are a lot easier episodes.
And it came out really good. We were outside. The music actually didn't interfere with.
That's what I was worried about, because when I started going through, it's like, oh, you know what? These are pretty good mics because everything stayed right here.
Yeah.
I didn't know if we were going to get too much feedback, but everything.
Yeah. So we were at the Eagles Nest and we did this live, and there was a band playing in the background.
Oh, right on.
So I finally got music in my podcast, and we're not singing. I didn't ask for it. It was like a cover band.
Actually the way it works. That's why you see TV shows have bands, because you can play it live.
Yeah, like that loophole is like if you can sing it in karaoke yourself, because otherwise
I know. Then I catch myself singing, and I'm like, man, I better not get in trouble for this, But no, it was fun. It was a great episode, and we had to do it in two parts. So the first part came out this week, and then maybe Thursday, Friday, maybe
it'll come out. So this is obviously next Tuesday, which means it already came out last Thursday. So whatever we're saying doesn't matter. But
I know, that's the confusing part. I try to.
It's not just because you're old.
Yeah, no, that's
part of it.
That's a part of it too.
That's definitely part of it.
Yeah, and then I touch this mic like I'm making love to it, man. I mean, I watch myself, I listen, and I'm like, you're always freaking on this mic. Got to behave.
Well, I wouldn't say you should make love to the mic, but the wife might get a little upset with you.
Yeah,
it's like I'm always vocal love to it.
And then, Mark, I'm like this tall.
I know. I noticed that.
I don't know if it was the chairs that we were in.
We were sitting.
Mark was just sitting here. I'm literally like looking up to you during the podcast, and I'm like, man, why do I look so short? I don't even look like I'm in a chair.
I remember us talking about it. Then I was Eddie. I was like, God, I really was like a solid foot taller.
But I did take my own chair because you just never know what kind of chair they're going to give me. So I sit in my own chair. And yep, this guy was sitting about. It was freaking. Your head had to be at least as high. It was funny. I was just like, man, we just really look weird. But anyway, let's get to our show, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome Mr. Mark Grado. Join us, Mark. I appreciate you coming in, man.
Thank you.
This is awesome. When I started this podcast, and you started watching, I was like, dude, I got to get you in here, man.
It was a long flight to get here on time.
I know. I'm glad you're able to make it. Because I know that's why you're in town.
Yes, absolutely.
And what else did you
do the podcast? And while I'm here, I'm hoping to enjoy. And I did get to go to the Chiefs game, so thank you for allowing my schedule to undertake that. I'm very happy to get some other things knocked out while I'm here. But
yeah, so if I can, I'm like, man, Mark's coming in, he's taking a flight in, he's going to the game, and I like I say, I like to work with the people that I can get in here. I want them to come in, I want them to feel comfortable, and I'm not like saying, hey, I need you here, Tuesday this time, because sometimes that'll freak somebody out, And I've had people that say, oh, I can't make it because they get nervous. And I'm like, you know what? I'll work with you. You tell me when you're ready. Boom, we get you in here and we talk.
Well, I'm in the industry, so, that's why I kept asking what time.
Yeah.
Do you have any specifics? I'm used to, for the most part, I deliver people to these things, right? Make sure they're there.
Yeah.
They're on time. They have their, in some cases, their script in hand, or if they're doing something to push something.
Yeah.
I make sure those things happen. I mean, that's part of what my career has always entailed, is making sure these things happen. So I wanted to be respectful of your time and your talent and what you guys do. And I'm a fan. I started watching and I thought, wow, and then you actually talked shit on me one day and I was like, wow.
Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, you talked about the time that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was
like a criminal.
Yeah, that wasn't talking shit. That was more like.
I told
talking
you,
shit, I guess.
Change the names of the guilty to protect the innocent.
I tried. I said Garkmado or something.
Yeah,
I made you sound like somebody from Star Wars.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I do hold myself out there as a real life Jedi.
Yeah, I do.
But I've learned the hard way. You know what, man? I look back on life and you specifically. I think about the first time I met you guys. You, Jesse,
Chewy.
Yeah. I met you guys the very same day that I met Bobby Delgado. And it was because it was my first day at Argentine Middle School. And I had just come over from the Missouri side school districts. And I was using an address that was she was like my aunt, right?
Yeah.
And so, yes, Mr. Englebrick, if you're listening, yeah, I did. I had a bad address. But you know what? Boom, too late.
Man, they still do that, to be honest.
I thought you said you used the address of a gas station or something.
But no, there was a fight out there in the front of the school, and there were three gentlemen. I call them gentlemen now because I don't want to be derogatory, but at the time, and I've always been that way my whole life. I don't care for bullies. They were jumping Zamora, Jose.
Oh, really?
They were jumping Jose right there on the corner at right across from the school, right? And I saw that, and I didn't see anybody else helping him. And I thought, man, this dude's getting jumped by three guys.
Yeah.
And so I jumped in, and I had to wait for my theme music to pop on. Everybody was kung fu fighting. I let that build up a little, and I jumped in, and of course, was able to
do your kung fu,
get that under control. And made friends with him, and then you guys were all around, and Bobby Delgado, his mother knows my family, right? And so my knuckles, and I had my nose was a little beat out. I took a few punches, and went to his house, and then walking back, Lance Woodbury, I met that day too. I met all you guys on the same day, and so all of you had a very resonant memory for me, and then spent a lot of time getting to know you guys, and I hung out with you guys.
Yeah,
and of course that's a story you told that I threw something through someone's window, and
I thought it was a newspaper you threw in.
Let's get that shit out the way right now.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
I was from the West Side, still am in that sense, in every sense of the word. I'll always be from the West Side, my family, and. You guys, we were hanging out, and I think Steve Sarmiento, you, Juan Olivas, there's quite a few of us, right?
Yeah.
And we were at that park. We were across from Christine Avila's house, right?
Which is
out.
Ruby Park.
Ruby Park.
Yeah, and then what he's talking about, Christine Avila's house, is now AJ and Antonio's mom and dad's house.
Oh yeah,
that house.
Yeah,
So that's the house that he's talking about.
Okay, yeah.
And we were all hanging out, and being from the West Side, man, we walked all the way to Crown Center, downtown. Our hood was
that was almost like the midpoint,
right?
And then you guys are just
and then going to Argentine, finding all these new friends. They definitely weren't the same level of, they weren't as urban as we were, right? We were truly the ghetto over there in the West Side, I guess, or ghetto behavior. And I was getting bored. And these dudes were all just standing around talking about how badass they were. And I was like, well, let's see it. I whipped a rock through somebody's window and they all took off running. And I was like, oh shit. And I looked at my friend Jimmy Gomez.
Yeah.
You know, he's my comp. He baptized my daughter, and we're still good friends, right? Okay. I looked at him and I said, they all ran. He goes, maybe we should go too. And I said, well, I ain't running. And so we walked down, and we ended up at Tina Medina's house, but I didn't know Tina at the time. It was Joe, her brother.
Yeah, her brother Joe.
Yeah, and they were having a party in the basement, right? So we just walked in. You know, I met Chris Reeves, Vincent Reeves. I met all those guys.
I don't remember what time of day was this? Was this at night or something?
Yeah, don't let your dad lie to you, bro. This was midnight. They weren't even supposed to be out. I had snuck them all out.
No, I was actually, I think I asked if I could spend the night at Juan's house. And then
Juan asked if he could spend the night at my house, but they didn't know I lived on the west side, on the Missouri side, right? So, yeah.
So all your parents are calling each other? Wait, after they were yours? After they were?
No. As long as the PD didn't call my house, nobody was looking for me.
Yeah, right. So yeah, I remember that time because I think as soon as I seen you pick that up, that's when I took off running, and I'm sure everybody's like, "Why am I running?" And then you fling that rock, everybody's running. Yeah. I was already behind the car. By the time you let it go, I think I was already behind the car, just waiting to see. And we hear this glass break, and I'm like, "Did he seriously just throw a rock through my tia's window?"
Was it your tia's house?
No.
Oh shit! Oh, like let me pay for that. No,
30 years later, I got to make amends.
I look back now, man, and I will tell you, I have, I'm very authentic in that sense. Looking back, I was not really someone that was a role model. I shouldn't have been hanging out with you guys. You guys were all good people, good kids. I was definitely a little more aggressive in that sense, but I had already been exposed. I've been working bars, nightclubs,
right,
literally with my Uncle David from the time I was 11 years old. So I was a little more advanced, and my mindset was different. But I will tell you that I've made the first 20 years of my life, I made a lot of mistakes as a young man. Did a lot of things that I wouldn't say I'd take them back.
No, I don't think you can, because it makes you who you are. Exactly, it does. It really shapes out the outcome, because who knows, if you would have been something different, you may not have been the same today.
Be the same, and I agree with that. So I look back and I'm glad the lessons that I learned, and it brought me to this place, right? And so I have done my part to make amends for things that I might have said or done, and again, not to be disingenuous or inauthentic of who I am or who I would like to be considered, right? But I learned that there were some things I needed to do. For instance, Art Vargas. You remember Art?
Mm-hmm.
Art and I, he had a friend, and I think his name was Mark, and we couldn't get along, right? And Art's actually family through my Aunt Lily, right? So the Vargas family, their family, and I was, for lack of a better term, I was a complete ass, and I was full of myself, right? I had my own car. I had my own, I was successful at a very young age.
Yeah. So, let me interrupt real quick. So you were, and we all thought, man, this is cool hanging around with Mark. Mark has his car, and he's, and we're like,
well, you guys are the same age, right?
Yes, we're the same age. So. But I think at that time we're like, you know what? This guy's probably older than us, like 10 years older, and he wants to hang out with us, and it was just, just, I mean, you always, you dressed to fly, and it was just,
it was, long story short, to get back to that point, and I'll touch on that because I'm very mature at home. I reached out to Art, I don't know, a couple years ago, right?
Okay.
And via Facebook, right? And I apologized to him, and I sent him something that I was hopeful that he would see and allow me, because he's friends with my cousin Bernie and my cousin Chris, right?
Yeah.
They always had a good relationship. Just, I was a knucklehead, and I apologized to him, and I went out of my way to make sure he knew that I genuinely disapproved of my actions as a young man. And, we all have perspective, right? That's the other thing in my life, perspective. We all have different perspectives, and you have to respect those things. And I knew that at the time in my life, as a young man, the way I behaved, that was wrong. It was absolutely wrong. And I was very fortunate. Not only did he forgive me, but him and I have engaged on social media, and it's awesome, right? Because I always knew that was something I wanted to do, right? To make amends for that. And I've lived the last, I'm 52. I just had a birthday.
Yeah. Happy belated. Yeah.
Thank you,
On the
sir.
26th, right?
On the 26th, yes. And normally I don't share that. I hate people making a big deal over my birthdays. We're on a podcast that's going to live forever.
Now it is that. Yeah, there we go.
I don't feel like that's a long time.
It did that night. We can make it longer.
No. I'm good.
Okay.
So, again, it's life's lessons, right? So I like what you said. You can't change. You shouldn't want to change it because it provides the culmination of who you are, right?
Yeah.
And so I have tried to be a better everything. I have 2 adult children, 34-year-old son,
Okay.
32-year-old daughter, and then I have a 6-year-old son, and then I have 5 grandchildren, right?
Wow.
And so I'm trying to be
awesome.
a better father.
That's a big age range.
Yeah. Well, I'm in the entertainment business. Things happen, and I didn't plan it that way. In fact, when my daughter graduated from the University of Arizona, I really thought, and I will tell you, I don't want to make myself out to be some great father. I was probably an average father in the sense that I was out making my name, building up, an opportunity to provide for my children.
Yeah.
And thank God for Bertha. She raised our kids, but I made a lot of mistakes. I shouldn't say we have come to terms where we know we made mistakes, but we raised our kids, and my son, he put himself through school on music, and my daughter put herself through school on academics. I had to help with
Right.
some things, but he's a much better father than I ever was. He learned some valuable lessons. When you have your first kid, nobody gives you this book and says, here, follow this book. Yeah. This is how you're supposed to raise your kids, right? And so I made a lot of mistakes as a young father. I think I did a little better job with my daughter, but I will say this, I'm doing the best job that I can as now I have some expertise as a grandfather and trying to do, raise my youngest son. And what's crazy is I catch myself holding my son to standards that I don't hold my grandkids to, right? And then later I have to explain that to my 6-year-old. I'm like, listen, I'm their grandpa. I'm your dad. I have to make sure you're prepped for life the way your brother and sister are. I get to spoil and they get away with a little bit. And, it's hard because I'm also that person perspective, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to interfere with what I think as my children. They're doing their job as parents. I'll insert myself a little bit, but I really don't like to do that. I interfered in enough people's lives as a young man, and again, that's the other thing, watching your podcast. And man, I'm so excited for you guys. I love it that you guys are doing this. I see the more Mexicanos and Latinos that I see doing something, I'm like, yeah, because for a long time, man, it's one of the reasons why I left Kansas City. Contrary to popular belief, I didn't just pack up and leave at 19. I had some shit in my life that culminated in me being stupid. And I didn't actually leave Kansas City until I was 26, but I was already in the industry working. And so when I finally did leave Kansas City, I went to San Antonio because in Kansas City, I didn't see Mexican politicians and police officers and doctors. You go down to Texas and San Antonio and Houston, everybody's brown and we're large and in charge, right? So that was a really nice thing for me. And I still don't think that our city does, you're always going to have that jealousy, right? People are that's just who we are. But I look at guys like John Fierro from Matty Rhodes, and I've been working with John since it was the HEDC, and I did the first Hispanic Economic Awareness Expo, right? I did that down and I was just doing a concert, but because I needed to pay for a concert, I created a business-to-business trade expo to pay for it. It was a huge success, right? And so those lessons, they allowed me to understand that Mexicanos should be sticking together as a community, as a culture, right? But then I also very much identified with the Black community because of all my friends from the West Side and, from the other parts of So for me, doing the Black and Brown Get Down was always a big thing for me, right? That was, it's who I am. And at my essence, I think I embrace all cultures and all heritage, right? So that's why I left. I wanted to go and be a part of where it felt like we had a role, we had a place to do those things. So, yeah, man, I look at you guys and I think, wow, this is success, man. And then, Moonlight Liquors, right?
Yes.
That's awesome, dude. And I'm not saying I used to support the hell out of his dad's place, but I used to support the hell out of his dad's place, And I've been in that industry, I have been in the entertainment industry. Most people, my own family, a lot of them don't even know what I do for a living. And,
Right.
they all have these different misconceptions, but I've been in the topless industry right now. I've had investments, I've been partners, I've operated them. And man, I have a lot of mad respect for anybody in that industry because it's a tough industry, right?
Yeah.
But the Shady Lady was, I came into town one time and I had Jay Bettis and a bunch of big singers and artists. We were here for an event or passing through. I don't know, maybe we were on our way to Detroit or something. And we went to the Shady Lady and there was the Chiefs, Andre Rison, Dale Carter, and somebody else.
Early 90s.
They were in there, right?
Yeah.
And my guys are all wearing their Dallas Cowboys stuff, and we're in a big tour bus, right? And we're in there, and we're dropping some coin. They're dropping some coin.
Yeah.
Became a competition.
Yeah, and all of a sudden you see it, and then dude comes over and he goes, "Who are you guys?" And now, mind you, I have.
Do you remember who that was that came in?
It was Andre Rison.
Andre Rison?
Yeah, and he was cool.
Yeah,
he was real cool. And our bass player was a huge fan, right? Ralph was a big fan. And he's like, "That's Andre Rison." He's kind of losing his mind. And Jay's like, "Yo, man, you're in the band. Chill out.
Yeah.
Like, don't be a fanboy." And he said it a lot more eloquently.
Yeah.
I don't want to go there right now. But, and so then you could just tell there started to get a little tension, right? And again, I know some of the family, some of the Spinellos, and I know, these guys from growing up here. So I'll walk over and we talk, and I said, "I'll take care of my guys. They're a little drunk." And Dale Carter comes over and, he flexes.
Yeah.
And I was like, "I got two of those too, and I got them on me, So what are we going to do? We're going to dance,
Yeah.
But we didn't, man. It ended up being a
big
everybody
party.
chilled out. We partied. People are getting autographs on $2 bills that they pulled off of strippers, and I'm going, "Come on, man! Yeah, don't tell your mom that. She's probably gonna see this. Right?
Yeah, she's gonna see
I don't want your mom to
She's a
think
big
I'm
fan of
bad
that shit.
influence. Yeah,
It's all good.
most wives hated me for a while, man. I was like Lucifer. Yeah, because I had nightclubs and topless and
Shit, I went to my first one in Denver like a couple months back.
Your first time?
Yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 23, so I mean,
That's
so
not bad.
no, I just it was never like, oh man, I gotta go. I mean, I can be kind of stingy with my money. Sometimes I'm like, maybe not. I don't know if I would have.
Yeah,
I don't know how much of a good time I'm gonna need.
I will tell you that I've been in the industry a long time, and cell phones killed the topless industry, right? Because now you can get
Anywhere.
you can get
Oh, you can get anything on your phone.
Angela Davis is right there with you. It is what it is, right? But my first time in a topless club was down on Kansas Avenue. I'm trying to remember Pete's last name. No, it was I don't remember, but it was one of the guys, and he had it down there, and I was doing valet parking. Okay. I had loaned a guy some money way back when I lived here. Couldn't pay me. So he's like, "When are you going to pay me?" And he's like, "I can't." He goes, "But I'm going to give you the business." Well, the business that I loaned him money on that he owned was a valet parking. So I ended up having valet parking all over the plaza, all over, everywhere. And I was competition to another guy who had a big valet parking company. And then I ended up working for him because I didn't want to own it. I didn't want to do that.
It's an interesting transaction. I mean, I get get the business or the loan. I guess I can see how that works, but that's just a weird.
I was 17 and I ended up in the Kansas Avenue, and I had to go in there, and this chick was putting her pasties on, right? And she goes, "Can you help me with this?" And I went, "Me?" And she goes, "Yeah, I don't see anybody else around." And I went, "Yeah." And what was crazy is I thought, man, she must like me. Turns out most of those young ladies, were lesbian at that. That was kind of the time frame when that was kind of a big thing. And I had most men don't know that, right? They're just they ain't going home with you, brother.
No, they're getting their money.
Take their money. They're gonna go, and man, I got mad respect for anybody who's that's a hard working gig, man. I don't care who you are. Every industry, you're selling yourself in that sense. In the and not in a bad way, but it's the illusion, right? They're up
Yeah.
on stage. It is what it is. So
Yeah.
mad respect for anybody who has I could never get up there and dance like that. I'd be like, man, I'm fat. I'm sorry, I'm fat. Now the Chunkendales, yeah, I'm all day. I'm ready. I'm ready to take the world by storm. But back to my point, I was watching your podcast, and you said, I always wanted to be a renegade. And that shit hit me in the heart, man, because I never knew that you wanted to be a renegade, right? And then I saw your podcast with Juan Olivas.
Yeah.
And you guys had the windbreaker.
I brought the windbreaker back out.
Yeah, man. And I remember. And so, thinking about that time frame, and again, I was probably an ass. I had a group of guys around me, and they will probably all tell you. If it wasn't for Jimmy Gomez's mom, Alice Gomez, right? Alice Gomez, love you. She really was the person who drove us everywhere. But the guys that were in the Renegades, all of them, we practiced and rehearsed every day. Mm-hmm. We would rehearse a 6-minute dance segment for hours. And some of them didn't want to hang out. Some of them didn't want to do it. But Linos, Jimmy, and Jimmy's my best friend, right? I love this guy. He's my brother. And I was an ass with Jimmy, man, because I was like, yo, man, you're missing that, And I ended up, he left the group for a little bit, and I went back, and I was like, you know what, man, you're a renegade. It was weird. It was kid shit, right? But that shit hurt me when you said it, because I thought, man, I didn't even know Mario could dance. I mean, I watched you, but I was like,
Yeah, he's not that good.
Here's what happened. I went back in my memories, man, and I started thinking, all right, when did we run into that? And, from Argentina, it was always Dominic Soto.
Yes.
Dominic and Kenny, and then Zamora, right? With Jose's brothers.
Jose's brothers, yes.
Right. And that's how I knew them.
Because Hedda had Chicago.
Yeah,
Remember
and
Chicago? Myron.
And those cats, they got down, right? My guys, we danced. We were more about... Whereas Dominic and those guys, man, they were singular dancers. They would do their thing, right?
You're very good at group coordination.
I was very good at pulling off the group coordination, right? And then it became where I found I was able to do it solo. And then some of the Lincoln Academy Marching Cobras, Mr. Smith's guys, a guy named Lee Drew, he saw me one day and he took an interest and he started helping
That name
me.
just...
Lee Drew?
Lee Drew, yes.
Lee Drew, they were Master Lock. And those dudes, oh my God, those dudes would take over a room and boom, right? Man. And so, it really, that shit. Anyway, you cut me, man.
I'm sorry, Mark.
And so I brought a bag. Does anybody know where this?
Yeah, it's.
I brought a bag. Can you bring that out? Yeah. Give that to your dad. I brought a bag. And let me tell you, Mario, you did cut me. Can you see that? I don't know.
Mark, stop saying that because I didn't mean to do that to you, man.
Hold on. I'm getting to this. This is authentic. It hurt me because I thought, man, I hurt Mario. And you were one of my friends, dude. Yeah. You were somebody that
you're gonna fucking make me cry. Dude.
I was gonna beat somebody's ass if they mess with your brother. You, Chewy. There was a kid that messed with Chewy, and I don't want to mention his name because I don't know. He probably still's holding a grudge and shit. But his tooth, you see that scar right there? His tooth ended up stuck in my finger bone.
Punch him across the mouth?
Because I punched him, and I guess I hit him too many times, and he must have had a loose tooth, because there's no way I hit that hard, right? And because he was picking on Chewy in homeroom, and I went out there in the hallway, and I said, hey, man, you need to leave Chewy alone, right? Because Chewy used to have white hair. We were teenagers, and Chewy had white hair. And he said something to me, and I was like, really? You gonna come at me like that? And then when he swung on me, and I've never in my whole life ever swung on someone first, right? He swung on me and he hit me, so I hit him back, and then I hit him again, and maybe a couple more times off the locker. But his tooth ended up in my finger, and man, again, I feel bad, and I'll have to search him out now and tell him I'm sorry. God damn, I feel horrible right now. Anyway,
see, that's about the show. We talk about.
So I did some research, right? Because I went back and I tried to remember all the times I came across you guys dancing, and y'all were always at Indian Springs with your bunk ass linoleum, right? I was like, damn, we got to buy these boys some linoleum. So I brought you a book of linoleum.
No,
I did. No.
I was like,
no. This is the only one of its kind. There is none other like this. And believe it or not, my grandmother still had my Renegade's jacket.
Stop.
She's gone. She passed away. I went to her house yesterday to see my Aunt Linda. and there's a sign up, and it had the Renegade stuff, and I realized,
serious?
it was from one of the big events we won, and it was a big poster that they given us. I had this custom made for you, so pull it out. It is a Renegade jacket. Hey! First, I had to find the damn jackets, which, by the way, thank God for Amazon, right? Go ahead and pull that bad boy out.
Members only.
Pull that bad boy out, and I reached out. I tried to reach your son via Facebook. By the way, you don't ever check your messages. That's okay.
You know, I meant to bring that up because I think I remember seeing that, but I think I looked at it like late at night, and then when I went back to it, I couldn't find it.
I reached out to Anthony Orpeza, right?
Oh,
and I said, Anthony, do you remember Mario Bean? Did he have a street name? And he goes, no. And I said, well, shit, if he didn't have a street name as a dancer, then he sucked. I don't need to worry about this. I mean, that's the reality, right? If you didn't have a name, you sucked. But you did, apparently. We couldn't find it.
I couldn't
We
remember.
asked your wife, and she couldn't find it.
No,
Swear to God. That's how we got your size. So if you turn that jacket around, first, that is the only Renegade jacket with the letters in white, and it's the only one that it's embroidered. And then your logo, Anthony Orpeza, AO finally got your logo. My daughter had actually recreated it. She's a graphic artist, and we were going to go with that. But Anthony got us your logo in time. So there you go. You are an official Renegade member. There was only one cat who could make you a Renegade. That was me. So I came all the way to town to make you a Renegade, brother.
Wow, Mark, this is awesome, man.
Yeah.
And I was like, I thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
This is going to be worn at parties, and the Renegades are getting back together, and they got a new member.
Hold on.
A reunion tour.
Yes, we got to get the band back together, man.
No, we don't. We don't. You know, my kids are always
I
trying to get me to
appreciate
dance.
this so much, man.
No, yeah, man, I can't tell you enough. I should have been a better person as a young man, and I wasn't. And I should have known that there was my friends. You were one of my friends. And had you ever said to me, Mark, I want to be in the group, I would have said, fuck no, dude, you can't dance. but I would have been nice about it, right?
Oh, man.
No, your dad actually, he could dance because I started talking to people and they all said, yeah, him, Juan. He started naming it off. They said, but they just weren't. We always had that thing with Dominic and Chicago. And again, those guys were incredible, man.
Yeah. Head out Chicago.
Yeah, dude. Those guys were incredible, dude.
And if you see, we talk about it because I love talking about it. I love bringing up the breakdancing because it just sounds so ridiculous when it comes to that time. Like, oh yeah, we said we were breakdancing here and there. I was like, oh my God. So that's and his whole thing. Like even now, every time like there's a party, he gets out there and it's always he's one of the best.
Really?
Mark, I'm one of those guys that and they sometimes do it at the nest. We're having a good time, and then somebody throws in an old school. Throws an old school tape or a CD, and then here comes they of course they got to play Planet Rock, and Egyptian Lover comes on, then all of a sudden here we go,
starts
everybody starts and then go ahead Marty, and then no fucking boom, and then I just start going to town. It's just funny. It's just fun to do.
You know what?
And then
that's awesome.
And then so Hera Zamora, he's another one. I had a Halloween party, and everybody says, "Oh shit, there's Hera, oh there's Mario," and then Compadre Luis or Pesa would DJ, and there you go, he'd throw Egyptian Lover or a Jam on It, right by Nucleus,
wiki.
And here we go. Hera would get out there, do his
great
thing,
robot, right?
And we're
yeah.
Said Ray Ro.
Who did the great robot? Who was a really great doing at the robot?
Oh, that was one of my aunts who did that. But that's
Your aunt. Oh,
yeah,
shit.
I had an aunt that did that.
She's a dancer.
Yeah. So the head I would start dancing, and then he'd point me out. I'm like, oh shit, here we go.
Dude, he still moves. He's a firefighter, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he still moves. I'm friends with him on Facebook too. And yeah, man, that's awesome. I personally don't anymore unless someone's writing me a check. I tell my kids, my daughter's taking a dance lesson at home in Tucson, right? And I guess her teacher, supposedly, he's all about the B-boy, this and that. And I was like, let him know I danced against the New York City Breakers.
Yes, I remember that.
At Worlds of Fun.
World's fun.
Afterwards, Lee Drew introduced him to me, and one of them said, you should come with us because you can do it, right? I ended up dancing with quite a few different
groups.
Yeah, man. And I didn't want to be a dancer. I just it just happens, right? But I tell my daughter, I say, you tell your teacher, I've competed at a, when it came to breakdancing, but I don't do that unless somebody's writing me a check. I mean, I found very early on that you have to have value, right? But I'll tease my kids, do whatever. But yeah, my oldest son gives me a hard time. But yeah, I mean, I can still, move.
I'm sure you still can, yeah.
But
What was the move? What was your go-to?
well, my street name, I was Radar Groove, and Groove Consulting is still Groove Enterprises is still everything in my life is Groove, right?
That's pretty dope.
But yeah, it was the signature always started with whatever we were doing. It always started right because it's always the hand play, right? And then one thing that dancers don't follow through on, especially old school break dancers, is they'd start something up here and then how did it get to your foot? You suck, right? So it's always about the subtlety of the movement and the motion. And then the radar thing started because, and I used to have a T-shirt that said, "I make lesbians quiver." I'm probably going to get in trouble for this, right? I'm probably going to get in trouble for this shit, right? That's why I can never run for political office because of shit like this. But, and you get them and I had a young lady who she swears she was, and she goes, how are you going to make me quiver? And I told her, I said, now watch from the breakdance stage,
the
right?
Hands.
See the motion and see the hands, see the micro movements.
Yeah,
that's what it is. It's the build
see that, and then I tell them I can do that with my tongue, and they'd be like, "Oh shit!" And they quivered. Guess what? The T-shirt was the truth. So there you go. But yeah, man, it was that, and then again, choreography just came really. Because I was so detail orientated, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I used to think, man, like to me, the best. I always thought the best was Dominic. Yeah. Like Dominic, and I never actually. I don't think I ever danced against him. But like me and Jimmy, who went to California, I danced against a young man in California, and embarrassed him. Right? You know the moves. You do some crazy shit, and then dude's like, "I'll be right back. I'm gonna go get my cousin." I was, man, go get your cousin. I don't give a damn who your cousin is. I'm here.
Yeah.
And I was bravado.
I know,
shit.
right?
I'm here. God damn it.
Ay, qué macho
shit.
eres.
It was Boogaloo Shrimp.
Which is
what's the
from
movie?
Ozone and Boogaloo Shrimp.
Yeah, Boogaloo
Breaking.
Shrimp was the kid was Turbo in the movie, right? And then Ozone was he was a choreographer.
What was his name? Alfonso.
Alfonso, yeah.
Alfonso something, yeah.
And later in life, during stuff, I met briefly, Pop and Taco and those cats. And,
it's crazy because I was getting ready to ask you if you've ever met those guys.
Yeah, man. Well,
Pop and Taco.
Boogaloo Shrimp, when he came up, he walked up and he was all, he started doing the Bugs Bunny thing that he was famous for, right?
Yeah.
I looked at Jimmy and I said, man, we should just go. Let's just fuck this.
And this is already after Breaking.
Yeah, this was already
so
after
that's
Breaking.
how they got
more
popular.
They were, California.
They were huge in Cali.
They ran the beaches and everywhere you dance. But yeah, no man, and I took that. That was just a small part of the entertainment. In my life.
Is there video of this?
You know what? I did a series in the Kansas City Star. It was like 6 different Sundays. I did different moves, and there were big pictures in the Star. And back then, man, guys like Freddie Parra, man, Freddie was. Freddie, I think did go again. He was just as good as Kenny or Myron. Freddie, I think.
And Freddie was with you guys.
No, Freddie, he was for a little bit, but he ended up going. Moras had their own. They created their own dance group.
And I just found this out. And correct me if I'm wrong, but was it Chris and Bernie?
Yeah, my cousin Chris and Bernie.
They were part of
Phantom Poppers.
The Phantom Poppers.
That's who they were. Yeah,
Phantom
but I had
Poppers.
like Joe Roscoe.
See, this was the thing back in the day.
I know, man.
I try to tell these guys that this was
People
out there.
always said you guys are like gangs, and I would tell them we're not a gang. We're an extracurricular activity group, and we really were because we didn't fight.
You settled your differences by dancing.
We did, man. And you know what? And if you lost, there was a couple guys that would get a little stupid, But man, when the guys like Master Lock were around, or do you remember the Samoans when they came to town?
I don't.
There was a group of young men that came
Samoans?
to town. They were from Samoa,
the islands,
and these dudes, they came and they are the ones who beat us. I think the second year at Worlds of Fun because we won, right? We won something out there. I don't remember.
Yeah, because I was in the audience. I was in the audience sad, Mark, because I was like, I should
be up there.
I'm turning at knife. I was like, so I look at you guys and I turn around and I'll be like,
those dudes,
I could do that, Mark.
They were
I can radar just like that.
They were incredible, man.
Yeah.
They danced. right? They weren't breakdancing. They danced. And yes, breakdancing was part of it.
Did they do like the full, like the ha?
Oh, no, dude.
They didn't throw any of their, like,
They
no,
came
like the
out-
Samoan, like,
They
like
came
their-
out and they put 4 chairs on the stage. I'll never forget this because it was an enlightening moment for me, right? Mike Moreno was so we had the Renegades, and then Mike and I danced separately as a different group. I don't even remember what we were. We did it. We competed because you had to pay money to do it, right? You had to pay the fees to join, to be judged. And for me, I just wanted to be judged. And that probably came off wrong too for the rest of the guys. And again, man, I love all those guys I grew up with. I can't tell you enough, all the lessons I learned from them. Just really valuable relationships, right? That I learned a lot from. And guys like Juan, man. Juan was awesome as a young man, to me. Mario, your dad, just good people to me. So I never forget, we were at Worlds of Fun, like you said, and everybody was there. There's,
Yeah.
Chingo gente, right?
Yep.
And these dudes came out. They put 4 chairs in the center of the stage, and I was like, "What the hell are they gonna do with them chairs?" And they did a routine using the chairs, and they moved sideways in their hands. And one would put his hand up, and the other one timed it. And the choreography was incredible, and they blew everybody away. They blew everybody. And then we went to go dance against them at Independence Mall at a place I think it's called Breakers, right? And of course, somebody was stupid, and then you start everybody's kung fu fighting at that point, right? You hear
the theme song.
yeah.
came
When you
on.
hear the theme song, bro,
It's going down.
Yeah, it's happening. But yeah, no, those were good times, man. Like I said, I always looked up to, from the perspective of that. Dominic, to me, was the epitome of the best breakdancer we had in the region because he was just so fluid in his movement. And that, to me, represented, again, perspective, right?
Yeah.
Some other people might have thought, oh, you guys are this or you guys are that. There were some kids that moved from California. I can't remember. I think his name was Weddle. He had a different style. He did more of the flow and the stop, which was the pop and
Pop
the
and lock.
right? And then 3D. The 3D thing is where you pushed and moved, and it was slow.
And then you make the chest come
Yeah,
out.
with
Papa
the beat,
Tacos
yeah.
thing, right?
Yeah.
The heartbeat. And so everybody had different perspectives and styles. And, later
What
in
an
life,
amazing time.
it was fun. You know what? It was fun. For me, I made all kinds of friends. We went all over Kansas, Missouri. Mrs. Gomez would put us all in her van, and we paid for gas because we always won. Everywhere we went, we won. We would perform, then it turned into like the Renegades. We did a thing for Disney because the Disney family at one time had radio stations and stuff here. And my mentor, Frank Dorsey, who was a wonderful opportunity to learn from, right?
Yeah.
He put us in at a thing at the Western Crown Center, and I paid the
remember
guys when
that.
we had it, or we paid for the jackets. Whatever we charged, we put back into the group, and we would pay for fees to go, and we competed in Topeka. I'll never forget, Mrs. Gomez, we drove to Topeka. We had rooms, we were living it up, right? And we won, and it turned into the people in Topeka wanted to beat us up, these dance groups. And we're literally running
That's
across
Topeka for
railroad
you.
tracks. Yeah. I'm just saying, man, Topeka was rough, But later, mad love for all my Topeka people because my DJ business, it culminated in my mobile DJ business. And I can't say enough, man. Topeka was Paula Flores, her family, Rita Ortiz, all those, in Topeka, I literally, man, I'd go to Topeka and I would book a place called the Agricultural Center, and it held 1,000 people, right?
Yeah.
And I would charge $10 a head, and they would sell all the tickets before I even got there. It'd be sold out, and I would hire a band to open up for me. And bands used to hate that shit, right? Because I had better sound. I mean, I don't know if you remember my DJ rig.
I do.
I had roadies, man, because I had a nice rig. I had lights and I had motors and had a good sound system, Thank God for Andre and Steve Reyes, right?
Yeah.
Andre Reyes and Simon, those guys.
Yeah.
Those-
See, and that's what I was talking about earlier. Andre Reyes lives in Christine Avila's old house.
Oh,
that's where they
that's
live. That's why I
right.
brought that. That's why I brought that up. Yeah.
Yeah, man, Andre.
And so
is-
we're related to them. We're related to the Reyes through my wife's family. Andre Reyes' wife,
yeah.
Stephanie. Is Sandy's, my wife's first cousin. They're first cousins. Their moms are sisters.
Yeah. I can't say enough great things about Andre and Steve Reyes. I love those guys, man. Marty Bernal. Marty and I still talk shit. We talk mad shit to each other on Facebook, private messages, right?
Yeah.
Because he gets me. But Simon, all those cats, and then, Dave Tinoco. I was part of that clique, but if it wasn't for Andre, I would have never, he's who encouraged me to learn sound. Okay. And I've been very fortunate. I will tell you, my life's been very blessed. Or very early on in life, I realized that God gave me a couple gifts. He didn't make me handsome. He didn't make me tall. He didn't make me dark. Like I can just go down the list all the shit that he didn't do.
But
Well, I don't know. I don't know. We have that much time here,
Yeah,
Mark.
I don't think we have that much time. Damn, you cut me again, Mick. No, just kidding. I've been very blessed at a young age with a wonderful memory and a wonderful. I get very excited about learning something new, right? And Andre gave me a chance to learn how to do sound, like how you plug in the speakers, how you jump them, and crossovers and amps, and Simon, who would run the boards, or Andre would be running the board. He always was willing to educate, right?
Yeah.
And so then really it worked both ways. It was, I'm out there doing that, and he knew I was a DJ and I wasn't afraid to get in front of crowds. Andre had gotten the contract to do Fiesta Hispana downtown, and their MC didn't show up. And Andre wasn't going to do it because he was out running front of house. Simon, it wasn't about going up them stairs. He's like, oh, fuck that. Simon's a big dude,
Simon Avila.
Yeah,
Right.
Simon, the drummer. Yeah. We have all kinds of inside jokes that I cannot share on this program.
Yeah, we won't do that.
Because they will get me. But Andre goes, go up there. And I did. And I had been emceeing quite literally since I was in the second grade. So it doesn't scare me, right? So I get up there. And then next thing you know, not only my DJ business, but I was getting calls. I was doing the Argentine at the park at Emerson for Joe RC. I'd play the music and then I would MC them. Yeah. And so, that was just always a very natural thing. But
yeah, that was, you were good. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm sure you're still good at MCing and whatnot.
I haven't had to in probably
now you just got
10,
somebody
15
to do
years. No, man, entertainment's changed. I'll be honest with you. If I had known what I know now, I think about it. I was doing the same clubs as guys like Bad Boy Bill out of Chicago. I was doing the same clubs
Bad
as the
Boy
John
Bill.
Garabedian Open
Boy, you're
House
bringing
Party.
a bunch of shit up. Yeah,
I was doing
crazy.
everything from, I was learning the ropes here from guys at Q104, all those Power 95. I had no idea that DJs one day I'd be cutting checks for $500,000, $750K.
Yeah.
If I had known that, man, and I used to have to lug I didn't have a laptop. It was turntables and big ass speakers
And the amps.
and the vinyl, man. Just
The
to
vinyl
go to a
crates.
wedding, I had to take 4 crates of vinyl, right?
Yeah.
And then I got away from doing just for all the Mexicanos in the market. I did Tejano. I was the only guy who played Tejano music, right?
Yeah.
But that didn't support enough of my business. I was playing country. I was doing R&B. I was doing black and white parties. I was over on Truce doing lounges. You name it. I wanted to spin the music for it. Yeah. And so I had to have all those genres of music. And there was barely record pools at the time, right? So, if I had known that I should have just stayed doing that and I could just walk in with a laptop, give me my damn check and bone out. Yeah, man. I'm very fortunate. Again, I have some great people I do business with now. And, yes, I've done parties and festivals and produced some things with a company. Got Thomas Turner and Ryan, Relentless Beats, big company I work with out in Arizona. Cascade, Marshmallow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you name it. We produced this weekend. I think it was something like 35,000 people for Gold Rush over 3 days. Decadence, our New Year's Eve events. I think the first year we did something like 24,000 people. And then, just big festivals, big events and things like that. And so I got away from being, I guess for me, my superpower was always to make them happen rather than to be that artist or whatever. But I had my time, I guess, in the limelight, Yeah. So I had opportunities.
It's still out there though. You're still out there. You're doing your thing,
You know what? I'm really trying to slow down. I've been doing this for 40 years. Halloween was my 40th anniversary. First time I DJ'd.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you.
That's cool.
And I'm really, again, I'm trying to be a better grandfather. I'm trying to be a better father.
Yeah.
I got to find something that keeps me busy. I'm consulting different companies and things like that.
Which is the name of your business,
Groove Consulting,
right? Groove Consulting.
And I'm working with a logistics, a trucking company right now, right? Because business is still business, right? Once you figure out what the business model is, and then you apply the standards to it, efficiencies, technologies, you know, whatever those things are, they're all pretty much the same. And I've been very blessed that I got an opportunity for an education. You know, I'm a huge proponent of education. I mean this wholeheartedly. I think everyone should follow the path for their education. Right. I wrote a thing on my LinkedIn recently called The Value of an Education. And I place high value. I have a lot of friends that are in academia, have doctorates, have PhDs, you know, Lisa Garcia, she's a doctor of education.
Yes.
You know, man, that just brought back a bunch of memories.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Don't go there.
I'm not.
I don't need that. Lisa, I love you. And she knows that. And in fact, she texted me at the game. She was there too.
Oh, yeah. I did. I saw it.
Lisa's uncle, I'm sorry, Lisa. Her uncle didn't think I was good enough for her. You know, he was a principal. You know,
You just told me not to go there, Mark.
I'm sorry. I probably wasn't at the time. You know, but you know, that was life, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I definitely, you know, I'm a big proponent of education, but I strongly believe that education doesn't have to mean a piece of paper. It means, I think somewhere along the line we lost value in educating our children and our labor pool and our leadership. We lost value in experience, right? Mm-hmm. Like what you guys are doing here, man. You know, I really think you guys can get in touch with John Fierro at Matty Rhodes. You guys could probably find a way to get a grant to do something with these kids that wouldn't get an opportunity to see kids with our skin color.
Yeah.
You're doing it. Like y'all are doing it. Y'all are making it happen. You're inspirational, right? You know, for me, I wanted to be a lawyer from the time I was 5 until I was 9 years old. I knew I wanted to be a lawyer, specifically international business law. And people look at me and go, "You're stupid. You couldn't have known that." And I'm like, I did. I knew that's what I wanted. And I knew what it meant to do that, right? Because I love to read. Now I do a lot of audiobooks rather than read. I try to educate myself, right? And I'll never forget, I was 9 years old and I was standing in the backyard and on the stairs, and my Uncle David, he just recently passed. He and I apologize. I hope I don't want to get emotional, but I watched what he did playing music, just like you guys right now. I'm watching what you're doing, and I'm telling you, it can inspire people. I watched what he did with just playing music, and the way he controlled the crowd, and the way he brought smiles and laughter and energy, and then he took it back down, and it was memories. I saw something that was experiential, right? That changed my life because I wanted at that moment exactly what he was doing. I wanted to do what he did.
Yeah.
Law didn't matter anymore, right? And then I never forget telling him, you know, my uncle he was a little bit older than me, right? He was 17 when I was born, I think, or 16. And so, you know, we were close, you know, and I had the luxury of aunts and uncles who helped raise me, right? My mom was a young mother, so my grandparents, a lot of influence. And I remember telling my uncle, I want to be a DJ. And he told me, you touch my records, I'll break your fucking hands. I'm 9 years old. You're not going to break my hands. I'll break your hands. But he said, when you can fix my record players, then you can play with them.
Yeah.
So from 9 to about 10 and a half, I was reading everything on oscilloscopes, and I wanted to do that shit, right? And my grandmother had this big old Magnavox turntable / TV that was bigger than that wall, right?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. I took that thing apart.
Put it back together.
And put it back together. Not quickly, but I did. And my grandmother didn't kill me, right? My grandmother, she's who inspired the love of Mexican music in me. I never wanted to be in Tejano, or, you know, that's how it all happened, right? For me in that sense. I was already doing country, and I was doing rock, and I was doing other things. And my grandmother, she just loved Mexican music, Tejano music primarily. And, but she let me mess up her Magnavox, and she didn't tell anybody. She didn't tell my grandpa I messed it up. She didn't tell my mom. That was our secret, right? And then I finally got it working, and that was about 10 and a half. And that's when I told my uncle, I can fix your turntables. And I did. I took the rubber bands off of his turntables. If you've never taken a turntable apart, there's rubber bands that used to do the drives before there were direct drives. Yeah. And I took them apart, and I left it there in a box for him. And when he came home, he was pissed. And I put it back together. And he then said, okay. And I started going out with him and Danny Polito, who used to live behind us, right? Danny sold me my first equipment. It was my uncle's stuff that he rented from him. And then I went in there and I bought that shit out from under him, you know. And I don't think my uncle ever forgave me for that. In fact, I was laughing because he passed away, right? And my uncle, you know, we all have challenges in life, right? I'll never forget one night I get woken up in the middle of the night and my grandmother said, you better get over to Mercer and go get your shit. And I was like, what's wrong? My uncle, he had some challenges. Mm-hmm. He took all my fucking CDs and he sold them to one of the families on the next street. And of course they called. So I had to buy them back, of course, right? And so I was pissed. And he did that another time in life. So I told my aunt the other day, we were there at the house, I seen all his music and it really resonated for me. I didn't have a great relationship with him there at the end.
Yeah.
That's my bad, you know? Yeah. And I told him I'm going to steal his fucking CDs and go sell them just to get back at the one time, right?
Just that one last time.
Yeah. But I'm inspired by you guys. I really am, man. You know, walking in here today, I really hope that if there's a way for me to help you find any level of just support, you know, you've already found success because you've inspired me. I was like, man, I want to see them. I want to see you guys do what you're doing, right, man? And the fact that you're father and son and you got, you know, it's a family thing.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's yeah. I'm inspired by that, man.
I appreciate that, man. I really do.
For sure.
Yeah. You guys are good. You know, you guys are just, you're doing it, man. And I'm in Arizona watching it, you know, and like I said, I refrain from some of the comments I want to make because I cuss too much. I talk a lot. You know, out in the world, I have to be professional, but I am still authentic. And at home, I was telling you, I'm very immature. If you were to see my office, we'll have to do a Zoom call, and I'll let you see my office. You see my office, you would think some. Like,
just fly us in, Mark. Well,
yeah, I mean, you know what? My house is always there. I tell people all the time. You know, I got an extra spare bedroom.
Yeah. And
then, you know, my 6-year-old, he never sleeps in his room. So technically we have 2 spare bedrooms. And then my office has a pull out. So, you know, we could fit. We would exceed the Mexican quota in my neighborhood. Yes. I live in so there's the Ritz-Carlton's, Dove Mountain, right? And you go around the Ritz's roundabout and you go down into the private communities. They're all gated. And so
we'd exceed it by 2 families.
Oh, dude, let me tell you, me and one other family down the road are the only minorities. And yeah, it was weird when we first moved there. You know, it was kind of weird because it's all mostly retirees too.
Oh no, they're coming in together. There's a plan going on. Something's happening.
Not just landscaping.
You know, like us, we have 6 cars in our driveway.
So you're drug dealers as far as what your neighbors think, right?
Probably, yeah. But I mean, they see, you know, he has his truck, Chris has his car, my daughter has hers, I have mine, my wife has, you know, we all have our own vehicles there.
So I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
I'm looking at the stuff that's here, right? And obviously it's Moonlight Liquors.
Correct.
Mad love to Moonlight Liquors. You guys I just educated some friends of mine on drinking Grand Marnier. Have you guys ever drank Grand Marnier?
No.
See if he can hook you up with some sampling. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I've never participated in that stuff. You know, even that from when we were kids. I never, you know, I just.
What kind of bottle, like a vodka or
you just help.
Or...
Grand Marnier is a liqueur.
Okay, liqueur.
And it's definitely, you know, again, man, I try to stay authentic. People always are like, oh, man, you can't say that anymore, you know, this, that, and the other. But there's some white people shit.
Okay.
Because drinking it's an orange liqueur, and you have to learn how to breathe. When you drink it, there's a certain way to drink it, right? And I usually drink it with and now because I do...
the Coke Zero.
I do, you know, the diet drinks, and, you know, I shouldn't. But by the way, Troy, Coke Zero, living the life. My friend Troy is the... gosh, he's somebody very high up at Swire Coke, and I chose Pepsi as a contract over him, and guy stayed friends with me for 5 years, even after I told him I can't do business with you. And I had always told him, man, I'm a Coke fan. It's just Pepsi. It's a better deal, right? And so when the Pepsi deal ended, I went with Coke. And so I try to make sure and support.
So every chance you get that product placement.
Yeah. But you guys with Moonlight, man, I see the products and I think to myself, dude, you guys have definitely, you got to take this. Do you drink all these while I've watched you a few times.
We do.
Suds.
So I try to keep some in display. Just, you know.
Yeah, we don't have our bucket right now. But
I usually have a bucket here, but apparently.
And then a couple bottles. It's at home.
One of the things I think you ought to try, because again, watching the podcast, you ought to try some drink recipes on the show. Because let me tell you, man, and wines, right? definitely. You probably
Spirits
you don't
and
look
wines.
like a wine drinker.
You know, I just have family in town, and I took my aunt to the liquor store, and she buys wines, and I asked her, I said, why that one? Why this? Oh, this one's dry. This one's good. This one's sweet. This one's red. This is white. And when I've tried to drink it, I gulp it. I don't taste it. I just start drinking it. And then I'm the first one pedo. You know, I'm the first one that gets all fucked up. And I'm like,
really embarrassed.
yeah.
But well, I mean, I'm on the same mindset. I'm a kid still, so you know, like if you're drinking wine, you're not drinking it for taste. You're drinking it to get trash.
I will tell you, you carry yourself very well. I had no idea you were 23. I think you said, right?
Yeah, 23.
On camera, and especially with the way you handle yourself, you resonate much older. I commend you for that. That's a hard thing to pull off.
Yeah, no, I mean, I try to. Like, I mean, it doesn't help when, you know, I look like I'm almost 30.
It's funny you say that because just over the weekend I went to a party. One of my primas had a birthday party, and when we were at the nest, we did the podcast, and this guy came over to me, and I said, "Yeah, you." I said, "You remember me interviewing you in the podcast?" He says, "I had a pretty rough night." So I interviewed him that night. He didn't remember, and he goes, "But it's pretty cool that you and your brother both have a podcast." And I said, "My brother?" I said, "You mean my son?" He's like, "Oh shit! Don't take that the wrong way, because I either look young or he either looks old." So I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, that's my son." He's like,
People
"Man,"
ask me how old I am. I always add 10 years, and then they're like, "My God, you look great for your age." It's just, feed the ego.
It's just a thing to do. And then so I thought it was cool that he said that. I said, I appreciate it. And yeah.
Is it a compliment to me or a compliment to you?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. What was it?
You guys make a good duo, though. You really do. Again, I'm an old soul. Growing up in my grandparents' house, I watched the Lawrence Welk show. I watched Johnny Carson. I did all very Abbott and Costello, but in a professional sense.
Yeah.
It's funny because as like a production company, we have like a lot of future plans that we want to do. Like we want to, like I write a lot, along with acting, I do a lot of writing. And we're working on TV shows like that. We want to start producing ourselves, create our own media like that. And I told him, I said, you know what, Dad, our banter, our communication is so good. Like, you don't, like what you see on the show, it's actually very low level compared to at home.
Right.
Because like this, we know what each other are thinking. Like one of the funniest bits we do, and I love it, is anytime you say a name of something, we will go literally 5 minutes of bits of doing like you say, George. Hey, George?
Clinton?
Michael?
George Lucas? I mean, and we just keep going.
Lopez?
It's just something we do.
Yeah, we do.
And we just, until one of us gives up and like, yes, victorious. Exactly. Yes. And people are like, what the fuck are they doing? Right?
So does that make for jealousy with the brothers and with your wife? Because you guys have that kind of
No. He inherited the funny.
Oh.
I feel like I'm the least funny son.
Do you have to work on it?
I'm dry humor.
Oh shit! I need to talk to you then.
Actually, you know what? If you want to talk to him, he's the Star Wars guy. He knows. He knows everything about Star Wars.
Well,
okay.
We'll
yeah,
definitely have to put that to the test.
Yeah, we're gonna put it to the test right now. But real quick, Mark. I mean, we've gone through a lot of stuff.
Sorry, real quick. I didn't finish what I was saying because
sorry.
I had a show in mind. I was like, you know what, Dad? What if we remade Sanford and Son, but we do it Hispanic style?
Right on, dude.
I was like, I think we could make.
You could be Lamont.
Yeah,
but you would be.
But I wouldn't say. I wouldn't.
Jesus or some shit.
I wouldn't say
something.
I wouldn't say big dumb. I'd say pendejo.
Oh, dude, I know, man. I
think about that, Mark. Maybe you can. Help us out a little bit there. We want to get something going.
You know what? Yeah, I think it would. You guys definitely have good chemistry. That comes across absolutely. But my point is that because of your Moonlight sponsorship.
Yeah,
I think you guys would do awesome with doing drink recipes because there's a lot of women out there that I think watch your show too, at least from some of the comments and some of the things you see. You have a female audience, right? And probably all your fucking tias and your cousins. But but recipes, and again, my daughter says I'm bougie, but I just discovered wine a couple years ago in Italy, and I bought way too much wine on accident because I had drunk wine for the first time, and I said, "Yeah, my credit card on."
See, there it goes. That's what I'm talking about.
A whole case home.
Oh no, it was more than that.
Oh, a truckload.
Yeah. Oh, and then I bought.
So I'm guessing you have a wine cellar at home.
No, I don't, because
where'd you put all this wine in the closet?
We gave it away. Alexis, my significant other.
Yeah.
She's a wine drinker.
Okay.
And there's a 16 years in age time difference, right? So she loves wine. She's a lush, period. Like she's a professional drinker. No bullshit. Alexis. We're hanging out with Frankie J one night and Mario Lopez in Arizona at an event. And
Mario Lopez.
yeah, Mario Lopez. And I can't tell no stories about that one. I had to sign a non-disclosure. But Frankie and I go way back to when he was a Cumbia King, right? Frankie and I are, he's a brother, right? And Frankie hadn't been drinking for a while. And his road manager, Andy, good guy, he really takes care of him. Andy's his brother también, they're so we're doing this thing and they want us to go to a club after his appearance. So we go to the club at the casino and they bring over a bottle of vodka and the old lady's drinking and, Frank's, he's being polite. Fast forward into the night, 2 750 liters. Frank's tore up from the floor up. Security's coming over talking to us about their behavior. Right? Yeah, we get escorted. We're invited to this club. We ended up getting escorted out. Andy's not happy, right? Andy, the road manager. You got to understand, road managers have a responsibility to take care of your artists. Right?
Yeah.
And Andy's like, man, that's on you, bro. We have a flight to catch it. And I think it was an ungodly hour in the morning, right? And it's already 2:33 in the morning.
Hey, they did that to help him sleep.
We're carrying him out.
Wait a minute. So he said this was on you?
Yeah, Andy said that's on you.
He was blaming
right,
you.
right? He's blaming me,
Okay.
right? Because he knows we all have we have history.
Yeah.
And Alexis goes back to the room, and I ended up. I want to say that was like $300. I had to bribe the housekeeper $50 at a time. I was like, "Can you clean this up?" Nope. I had another fit. Nope. Another fit. Nope. What the? Yeah. But then I didn't know this until afterwards. Frank misses his flight. Andy catches the flight, goes home. Andy leaves. Apparently, Frank misses his flight, something like that, right? And Frank missed the kickoff of his son's birthday party. Oh. And I was in the doghouse. I know I was in the doghouse with this old lady, right? Fast forward all these years later, man, I got to meet his son a couple years ago. We did an event, and his son's playing for him. He's on the road with him, playing with him. And again, talk about father-son chemistry, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, Frankie was like, "Hey, I'm not allowed to hang out with your old lady anymore, bro." And I was like, "Who made that rule?" And he goes, "My old lady." Yeah, so but Alexis can drink, man, but she loves wine. So all this wine came home, she drank, and then I recently purchased not a vineyard,
I didn't know if this was going. I was
but
wondering.
I bought lines. What are they called? You buy tracks, right?
Yeah.
It's part of a vineyard, right? Mm-hmm. And we'll get something like, I don't know, 40, 50 bottles of wine every year. COVID messed it up, though. We couldn't get it because of the way it was all working. But yeah, I love the wines from Italy. I don't care for wines here. But I'm being educated on that, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's interesting.
Recipes. I think you guys would do good at recipes and trying drinks. I think that's
we'll have to try. Yeah. So I wrote down Grandma Yay. Is that what you said?
Grandma Yay, yes.
I heard it as Grandma.
Grandma?
Yay!
Grand Marnier. Yeah, it's an orange liqueur.
After you drink so much, that's where you start saying, Grandma, yay!
Hey, Grandma, this is the one
it's
I'm
good
like.
stuff. It's good stuff.
That's what I heard. And so you say you do know Joe Spinello, the boy, the son?
I met him briefly. I want to tell you, I was at a restaurant, and back when I lived here, right?
Okay.
I was at a restaurant, and I met him through his father.
His dad, yeah.
Yeah, his dad. And again, I knew those cats because I did valet parking for some of those clubs.
Okay.
I did, other things,
It was an Italian restaurant?
It was
Cascones?
No, yeah, was it? Yeah, Cascones down there on the
off
down the
Metcalf
northeast.
No. This is back when it was at the city market.
Yes,
Yeah. You got to remember, man. I rode deep.
Yeah,
back then. Alexis. Yesterday we're walking around, on the west side, and she's like, "We got to wait for the crosswalk." I'm like, "Man, these are my streets, man. I rode deep. I don't wait for no crosswalk. I jaywalk like a mofo. I was stabbed in Town Topic. Shit." And then of course I said that in front of my 6-year-old, and he was like, "Wait, you got stabbed?" And I did. I still have the here where I got stabbed with an X-Acto knife, and again, change the names of the guilty to protect the innocent because there was a whole lot of fallout from that shit. But that's back when I was a different person. There was consequences. My grandfather always
Hot
raised
Topic?
Me. Town Topic.
Oh, Town Topic.
The double T's, my friend. The double T. After I got stabbed in there and all that shit went down, they made enough money to remodel. So whoever they sued, they did good.
Didn't they put isn't there two of them?
There's always been two.
Oh, there's always been.
Yeah, there's actually used to be many more, right?
Because I know. Oh, really? Because I know there's a two there.
There used to be one on Metcalf.
You know what?
95th Street.
I've never eaten there.
I'm leaving.
Hold on,
Can you
hold
come
on,
and get these?
Mark. But
Yeah.
I've been there. I've been there.
Okay.
I be in there.
I've been there, and I sat down, and I passed out. You know, it's just one of those.
I didn't. So no, Moonlight Liquors is just isn't a sponsor. Moonlight Liquors, it's a way of life. Yeah, you guys can use that. I'm good with that. If you need to do a voiceover.
Yeah, and then, yeah. So yeah, and I see, and then I drive up one day, then I'd come down the other side, and I'm like, wasn't that some bitch on that side of the road? I never knew there was two of them.
So
Tells you how much I'm in the
been there
downtown.
recently. I haven't been recently, but I had been there more recent.
Yeah.
And the food's not the same.
Oh, it's not?
It's not what it used to be.
Okay, so then I'm cool. I don't
I
have to
think
go
her
in.
name was Shirley, and then there was Richard, and his wife. I know the ones who really made the greasy spoon that it was.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
A little bit more mom and dad.
We used to call mom
pop.
Shirley. We used to call her mom. In fact, the night I was stabbed, it was Shirley's daughter who jumped over the counter, and when the
That song can't go. I'm still trying to figure out how did an Exacto knife? What is it?
So here's what happened. I'm playing the pinball game. That pinball game there, it was, we have a winner, right? I love that game. My son actually found that pinball game, and he purchased it and put it into a pinball game for me because
Oh, cool.
I used to go playing that. He was in his mama's belly at that point. I was 17. I was wearing a white shirt with a jean jacket, and we had just got off of working at the Italian restaurant there that was Ray's on the Boulevard. Is that what it was called?
I don't even
Anthony's on the Boulevard, right? It was right there. And I'm in there, and I used to drive a Sedan DeVille 71 Cadillac, right? And the rims on that car were 18-inch rims, right? Beautiful car. It was my caddy, right? You remember the big black one. And I'm in there playing, and Bertha, she's down on Bertha, she's down at the other end of the counter, and she's eating chili, and she was pregnant with Marky, at the time. So this is a long time. This is 34, 35 years ago, right? Yep. And some other gentlemen from the hood come in there, and they said, "Hey, man, that's your car out there?" And I said, "Man, that's." And I'm playing the pinball game, right? And I'm like, "That's my car. The fuck?" And and these dudes, they weren't. Like, it wasn't nobody scared of these motherfuckers, right?
Right.
In that sense, man, look at me reverting. I need to stop. I apologize because you guys know who you are.
Boy, that
back.
word came out hard. Them motherfuckers.
No, I'm sorry. And I'm playing the pinball, and the dude was like, "Those are my tires." And I was like, "Those ain't your tires, man."
Yeah.
And I know for a fact they weren't his tires, right?
Right.
Because I knew what he drove. He drove a Cutlass.
Okay.
And I said, "Bro, you drive a Cutlass. Those are 16-inch rims,
Yeah, they're gonna
max.
go fit, yeah.
Those are 18s. They don't fit on my car." And I didn't stop playing. I'm trying to break the high score, man. That shit is, we have a winner. That's all I want to hear, right? You, sir, and you, ma'am. I remember this.
That's funny, yeah.
And a couple of the dude, there was four of them. At least that's what my memory. I think it was four. I know there were two brothers, right? And again, I'm not going to use their names.
Right, yeah.
That's all bygones. And I love their dad. Dude was good to me. Dude turned me around, and I was more pissed that he turned me around, and I heard the ball drop. And I was like,
Game
what the
over.
fuck? And then he
Bum,
puts on his
bum.
gloves, right? And he says, "Yeah, man, you're done." And I see his hand coming at me, and it hit me right there in my nose, right? It split my nose.
Ooh.
Went in, but then he couldn't get it out. It got stuck.
Dang.
And I didn't know till later it was an X-Acto knife. It got stuck.
Jesus, man, that could have been an eye or something.
Yeah,
you know?
right. And then they picked me up and they threw me on the pinball machine and they shattered it. And again, because I have
We have a winner.
yeah, I'm very blessed, right, with a mind, a multi-track mind. Initially, I'm worried about Bertha. She's seeing this, and actually, she ended up going into shock. She sat there and she froze, right? Because even after all the
commotion and what.
commotion started, I made eye contact to make sure she was okay before I engaged and committed to this act of aggression that was about to happen. Everybody was kung fu, right? And so I'm laying in the damn thing, and the glass is broken. I'm pissed that they just broke my favorite pinball machine, right?
You said, "Fuck the knife,
Oh, yeah.
my pinball."
I actually am the pinhole that pulled it out. But before I did, I saw the jar of pickles from the cheeseburgers come and hit one of the dudes in the head, and it was Mom. Shirley jumped over with the pan, and I mean, it was mass hysteria, dogs and cats sleeping together, real Wrath of God shit, Ghostbusters, the
Yep.
original.
Yeah.
Check
I got it.
Sure you knew.
Cats and dogs living together.
Yeah. What's going on here, Ray? So we
Yes,
go
sir.
out
He
the
is
doors.
dickless.
Yeah, we go out the doors. We're fighting, and they left, and my shirt went from being white to being like purple, right?
Blood?
From blood.
That's a lot
And
of
I
blood.
had no idea. And then next thing you know, I'm face down. And I wake up and, they're doing plastic surgery and they stopped it and it's crazy.
Just lost a lot of blood. And
Obviously, I didn't tell that whole story in front of my 6-year-old yesterday, but when I said that, he's very inquisitive and then driving around, man, a lot of emotions and a lot of memories are hitting me. And we were driving up Penn Valley, and I was like, I remember the first time that I outmaneuvered, we'll say, local law enforcement. At the time, I was a young kid and used that road and got away, and never ever. Tell, statute of limitations. Anyway, but I was a different person then, but it's amazing. Town Topics, I endorse it then, not so much now. There used to be a Town Topics down on Nicholson Avenue too, over on the East Bottoms, I guess is what that is.
No, I never knew about it.
Yeah, they were a big deal, man. Remember the chili? You get the bowl of chili. It was actually a bowl of grease with one bean and one, but it was the best chili, man. And then they made pies for Thanksgiving. I just realized this the other day, and I don't know about you. I never knew we were poor when I was little. I didn't know that. I didn't know we had less than others. We had cars, right? House was always warm when it needed to be. House was always cool when it needed to be.
Yeah. And I just heard this. We weren't poor, just broke.
Yeah. And so if you come to my house, you're friends with me on Facebook, right?
Yes, sir.
I think we talked about this the other day.
Yeah.
If you go to my Facebook, you'll see.
I couldn't believe you asked me that, but yeah.
At any given time in my life, there are at least no less than 72 rolls of toilet paper.
Right.
Stocked and ready.
Yeah.
I have everything from the Ultra Soft Charmin to Revell, which is the toilet paper of choice. That's some shit Beyonce uses, like presidents use, right? They put it in castles, right? And it's not cheap. It's an acquired opportunity. Nobody gets this ass but Charmin. That's the way I feel about it, right?
Where's no bidet or nothing like that,
In Europe, when in Rome, as they say, and I have been in Rome, yes. But no, I
don't understand how that works either.
I will tell you, it's a fantastic opportunity. Have you ever been to an Asian massage parlor?
The Japanese are amazing.
Do you get a happy ending after that?
You can arrange those
about
things. You can arrange those things. No, you know what, man? My old lady knows. She knew the life that I live, right? Yeah. She's cool. She gets it. Right? I don't live that life anymore.
Your kids have a good understanding of like,
my again, I was a bad father in the sense of the role model I could have been and I wasn't. I love their mother very much. Bertha, and to this day, Bertha and I, most people freak out.
Wait, is this the same from the
No, Bertha and I, we're separate. Well, we went our own ways. We got tired of the craziness. In fact, let me tell you how crazy it got. All of us went with white folks. My daughter married an Anglo young man. My son, he married an Anglo young lady. I went and found me a white girl. And Bertha went and got an English dude, like from England. And they live in Ireland now. They live in the Isle of Man.
Wow.
Jeez.
Not even in.
Still very close.
They got out.
We got tired of the drama with Latin people. Y'all motherfuckers are crazy. I don't know what to tell you. Mexicans are just.
But then you go to San Antonio.
But I'm like Jesus Christ. I love everybody, right? I love all women. I'm a connoisseur in that sense, right? Do you need me to spell that for you? The dry humor guy? No, he's good. But to this day, I would tell you right now that if Bertha called and said, I need you, I'd find a way to get to Ireland. Mm-hmm. Alexis knows that. Her and Alexis are good friends now, right? Mm-hmm. First time they met, I was taking Alexis with me to a Justin Timberlake concert in L.A. I was doing some work.
Dang,
and it was her, and we were in Arizona, and I'm leaving. We're in the garage of the house, and her and Bertha come face to face in the door like that wide, go into the garage and the laundry room. Mm. And she goes, hi, Bertha. And Bertha goes, what's up? And just dead, like just right in her face, right? She goes, you remember me, right? And Bertha goes, no. It was just that silent. Right? I was all, Bert, be good. I grabbed her. We got out of there. Fast forward,
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no, dude, my life was fucked up. I'm not going to lie to you, dude. Hand to God, when we moved to Arizona, my son, Marky, he's in band. Kid's talented. Never practice, but always ended up a state band. He put himself through school, music.
Yeah.
Right? But he's had guys like Val Maltos and big-time musicians who inspired him and was around when he was learning and gave him, opportunities to be educated. Anyway, we're sitting there in the audience, and at the time, Bertha and I, we were just still together. It was convenience, and we're watching my son, and I think it's a state band or something. And I said to Bertha, I said, man, you see that little blonde girl sitting there first chair, Piccolo? That girl's fine. I said, I hope Marky's trying to hook up with that girl. She got it going on. And she goes, you're fucking sick. That girl's the same age as your son. You need to stop. And I said, hey, I can't recognize beauty.
Right.
That, and that was
Yeah.
I was being the dirty old man and shit, right? How you gonna come at me like that? Right? So unbeknownst to me at the time, the other side of that story is this girl works at one of the places I was a business partner in, right? It's a family entertainment center.
Yeah.
And she hears my son's name, Mark Grado. So she asked him, hey, are you Mark Grado's son? And my son at the time was still dealing with, I think, my perspective was he wasn't big on being Mark Grado Jr. because in San Antonio, my name was all over the radio waves. I had the biggest nightclubs in town.
It was tough for him.
It was
living in
tough.
a bit of a shadow.
Yeah, I think, and I didn't do a good job of doing it. Again, man, I won't lie. I think I was a bad father figure in that sense. I tried my best, but I could have done better. Well, long story short, and by the way, I love my son. My son's who's got the season tickets, and he spoils the hell out of me, man. I love that. But so she, they had a weird interaction over him being Mark Grado. Fast forward, again, I've never met this girl. The place that I'm at, one of my next door neighbors, he creates a problem. He had his kid's birthday party at one of my facilities that I'm responsible for, throws my name around, makes this girl cry. I hear one of my staff members is made cry. So I go knock on this dude's door, right? I said, hey, do I know you? No. I said, I understand you were at my facility. You threw my name out, looking for a discount, treating people bad, and you made one of my associates cry. And dude kind of got a little crazy, right? Mm-hmm. So I put my hands through his screen, and I grabbed him, yanked him out through the screen door, and drug him out to the front on the sidewalk. Because, Arizona, they got them laws and shit, right? I think those laws are everywhere. So anyway, I made sure he understood that I was serious about you shouldn't do that to people, right? Don't ever use my name again like that, right? That was a big thing for me. Still, never met this young lady. Just heard that this happened to one of my associates. I verified it was all true before. I'm not just going to go knocking on somebody's door and doing some stupid shit like that. And that not that I hadn't in the past been stupid. Right. Anyway, fast forward, her name was Alexis, right? That's who I'm with. Never knew. She's the same girl from the Piccolo first seat.
That's crazy.
All those years before. Never knew. Yeah, had no idea. And so, yeah. So, some would say it's destiny. I say it's a pain and I'm locked up. Help me. Yeah. But yeah, no, help man. Help me. But yeah, and just, I guess life is destiny, right? So, yeah, that's what it is. But yeah, man, she knew, she was who I'd be like, yo, I need you to send flowers to so-and-so. Hey, I need you to send some money to so-and-so. Rant, People always say, and then give you, when I wasn't with Bertha anymore, life was what it was, right? Yeah. And people would say, well, doesn't that bother you, man? They're just gold diggers. I'm like, I don't have time for a relationship and got to be authentic. I know what they want. They know what I want. It is what it is, right? It's a serviceable relationship in the sense, yeah, we had a good time. We hung out. It wasn't like it was, I had some great relationships with some people in life, but I've really only ever loved a few people in my life, because I don't throw that word around meaningless, right? But like, I genuinely love you. I genuinely, I don't use that word a lot. Like, you don't hear me go, oh man, I love chocolate cake, right? My grandfather was real big on, you don't love something. You like it. You indulge it. But so I don't use the word love unless I really mean it. And then, because I love you and I know you love them, I love them. Right.
Association.
Yeah. Unconditional love, right? Bertha taught me that. I didn't know that. That took me some time to understand. I thought I loved her, right? But it was really, she raised me, right? And I raised her because we were kids when we got together. Yeah. It taught me about unconditional love. And there was a woman in El Paso, Texas, who truly
much love, El Paso,
gave
Texas.
Me, oh man, I love El Paso. A friend of mine.
That's where my family's from.
Really?
Yes.
A friend of mine for years told me, man, hey, Grado, don't go to El Paso, bro. Man, you talk about just ugly people, man, just ugly women, dude, just nothing there for you. And I was like, really, man?
Son of a bitch, just talk about my family.
I would stay away from El Paso, right? Yeah. And then I finally got to El Paso. I used to run the Far West Rodeo there, right? And I used to own a nightclub there called Stampede. I remember the first time I'm there and I'm going, holy moly. I called my friend up. I said, Gibby, you told me never to go to El Paso. Stay away from it because all these women here were just nothing to look at, nothing to write home about. Man, you're horrible. He goes, where you at? I said, I'm in El Paso. Shit. Man, just leave them women alone. Beautiful women in El Paso, man.
I don't know if I trust a man named Gibby.
A lot of Lebanese women. Yeah, Gibby was a bad mofo. Gibby. I've been in the business a long time, and very few people impress me. Gibby, his name was Gilbert, right? Gibby. I walked into a Tejano nightclub in San Antonio, and about 6,000 people there, and a fight broke out. And normally you see security teams at nightclubs, and you see them happening. I didn't see anybody moving. I didn't see nothing. I seen one dude towering. I mean, towering above everybody, man. Just big dude, just look like a big, massive rock moving through the room, right? And he's clearing the way. And then you just see kind of people getting tossed. And then it opens up, and I see the guys that are fighting. He grabs two of them. He's dragging them out. And I see another guy, smaller guy, about my height, running through, wearing an anime shirt. And he's grabbing dudes, and he's taking them out, and he's using kinetic motion as he's doing it, right, to disarm people and push them down. And boom, these two dudes, man, they're security for this whole club, right? They're dragging people out, and I'm there, and I'm watching because I'm thinking about investing in San Antonio and doing some other stuff. And it got real bad. They had a constable out front. In San Antonio, they like sheriffs here, or maybe they have constables that work the clubs off duty. And I watched a guy that was part of the fight go to steal a car out of the valet. He jumps in, and the constable puts he pulls his firearm, and he's trying to stop it because it's getting ready to be bad. Somebody's gonna get run over. Puts his hand in, and the dude slams the car door. Constable gets drugged like just a little bit. Body gets,
flailing.
He ended up being okay. Arm was messed up, and then all of a sudden, I'm watching the car. I'm observing all this. I didn't insert myself because it wasn't my place, right? I see it. I see this truck. It's a Datsun truck, right? And it's coming around. It's going down the row, and I'm watching, and I see this dude Gibby, and I mean, it was like a superhero movie. This dude just goes up and airborne through the window. Yeah.
What's moving?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Car hits the pole. Gibby rolls back, hits the thing. All Gibby had out of all that, he had this necklace that he wore of a saint, and it was crunched up a little bit. I remember I telling him, you want to work for me? And he goes, no, but I'll work with you. He knew who I was. People had already started to find out what I was doing. Gibby was by my side, and I mean, we fought nightclub fights where I'm talking about tear gas from helicopters, and yeah, I fought one of the UFC early champions on a grappler on the ground. Oh, he beat my ass, man. My arm was like this big, Also, but I'm in a suit and tie, man. I always wore a suit and tie,
Yeah.
I learned that from the clubs here. You're always in a suit and tie. But yeah, man.
I've always thought you were always in a suit and tie. Even back when we were younger, you were always dressed.
I was
really
always
nice.
in a suit and tie. It was part of what I was taught. You represent the brand, and because it's me, it's my brand. Yeah. And then of course working with the record labels and the artists, I was always in a suit and tie because that was business, right? And so eventually, and I did at one point. I still keep some suits in the house. Haven't had to wear a suit in a long time, but when I conduct certain business for certain clients, I do wear the suit and tie because for them it's armor, right? For me, it's armor. It's the uniform, right? But yeah, again, my daughter says I'm bougie. I had something like 300 ties. I had 60 suits. I didn't have to wear the same suit combination for
a month and a half.
Oh no,
more than that. Yeah, a couple.
Okay, I know I'm a pendejo, but what is bougie?
Apparently, it is when you are just extra. So I'll give you, for instance, traveling right now. Alexis gave me shit because my suitcase was going to be over. So right now I'm traveling with 5 pairs of glasses. Okay. And like today, I'm wearing blue with white. Even my chonies are blue.
Okay. How many pair of glasses do you own? You own quite a bit.
I want to say 7 or 8 pairs.
Okay.
And these ones are out of Italy, right?
See that Gucci.
And I couldn't do, I was that guy that was fighting old man eyes. I didn't want to wear readers, right? And I couldn't just do Walmart readers. I mean, come on, man. It's like my buddy's giving me shit on Facebook. He's like, man, where are those seats you're sitting at, dude? You're a G. What kind of bullshit is that? I was like, hey, they're my son's season tickets and they were a good view. Chill out, and I'm keeping that shit on the down low. Yeah. And so everything coordinates, right? So this morning I have some blue Tom Fords, right? They're blue. They're very nice. And again, Tom Ford's a big Italian brand too.
Okay.
But I have a lot of nice timepieces, right? And I have watches too, but I have a lot of nice time. And I was thinking, well, if I wear that, then I have to wear my blue Maserati watch. I have a blue one. And then, you have to switch up the combination. But my shoes are black. My belt's black. So, this is my Rolex.
Okay.
And it's got a black face. It's a Submariner. So, it's got to match. It's got to coordinate. So that's bougie being extra, right? Okay. Like, I'm a coffee drinker, but I don't do sugar anymore. Well, I try to avoid sugar. I'd be lying to say I don't. But at my house, I went from just kind of liking coffee to now I have something like, I think I have 26 sugar-free flavors. I have a full barista setup, right? I've got an Oracle Breville Pro, and my 6-year-old is now he's my barista. Like, he's taught himself to, he grinds the beans, and then he tamps it,
Over there pouring the milk into shapes.
Doing the milk. Yeah, he's actually been doing that. He made me a heart last week. Yeah, dude. So, yeah, that's being bougie. And if that's what it is, like I said, I'm traveling right now. I have 5 pairs of glasses with me because I have, like, for the Chiefs stuff I had on yesterday, I have some black rims, but the inside of them are red, so they resonate red when you're looking at them, right? So, they're nice,
Yeah.
And then, different watch, different timepiece in that sense, and different shoes. I think I have something like 61 pairs of tennis shoes because you can't wear shoes if they don't match, right? Like, you can't just, maybe you can.
Yes, I can.
Okay.
The only time I coordinate is if I was either playing basketball or football or softball or something.
That's the only time?
That's the only time I coordinate.
It's kind of sad. Then you're a Star Wars guy out here. I will say this. Y'all are consummate professionals because he's really the one doing it, right? He's really making it all happen. Is he all the magic?
He could be.
What
yeah.
you mean?
Chris New H. Yeah.
Yeah. He's the guy. He makes it all happen, or you just hit the button and like, who's the brains behind this operation is what I'm looking for.
Oh, he's just controlling the cameras. I'm the one that sets everything up and does all the editing.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to shut you down right now. He's like, and you're out of the
He could, yeah.
As much as Dad likes to hype me up, I'm literally just pressing 2 buttons and then start and stop.
right.
Son,
it's more complicated than
So
that.
he's not bougie. My point is, there's no
I guess
bouginess.
I guess, yeah.
You know what, man? I believe in if you should have nice things. If you work for growing up poor, right? That's why I have all that toilet paper. Because growing up poor, that was always a big thing is, oh man, we're going to run out of toilet paper. Or the one big thing is no hot water for a shower. I can remember because, I had my aunts, uncles, grandma, grandpa.
Everybody there. Using it all up. And
water was cold, right? And my grandpa, no matter what, he hated baths. Right? He used to call it fight the alligators. Now I know, he just didn't like to take a shower.
That's funny.
And so in most of my homes, we lived at one house where we had 6 restrooms and all of them had showers and all of them had their own hot water tanks. And then the kitchen had its own hot water tank for the sink and the dishwasher.
Jeez.
A little pony one. Yeah, because running out of hot water is a mofo.
Yeah.
I remember that, and especially in winter. Yeah. So I guess it kind of scarred me, but I don't know.
Yeah, we would do that too at home because growing up at home, my mom and dad, they were foster parents, so we'd have a bunch of kids. And then the time that our senior year, Chewy lived with me, my Uncle Manny, he was a young buck, and then cousin Tony. Our house was always full. So yeah,
So Chewy lived with you?
Yeah, my senior year.
That makes sense now. I didn't realize that. Because I remember you guys used to live either across the street or around the corner from Lance Woodbury, right?
Yeah, we're like 2 streets over.
Okay.
We're on 15th Street. Lance was on 17th.
Didn't Chewy end up living somewhere in there too?
He lived with us.
It was with you guys.
And if he did, he hung a lot with Lance Woodbury.
Right.
He could have been down there a lot too.
Yeah. Lance, he's in farming now, or agriculture or something like that. Yeah.
You know what? He told me he was going to be president one day.
Lance Woodbury?
I've been waiting for that.
Let me tell you something.
He could have been.
If there's anybody that dude, he was book smart. He was eloquent. He was awesome. He was. I'm a big Lance Woodbury fan.
Yeah, and I haven't seen.
And I apologize for boring you.
Is he yawning over there?
Do we need to do a segment?
Stop yawning, you son of a bitch.
When you go to edit this, are you gonna?
We leave that shit.
No,
But anyway,
No, that's my fault. I on top of this, I work nights as well. So
nah,
Oh
he's
my
fine.
goodness! Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
no, I know. I'm just
That's awesome. If you'd have told me, I would have. Look, I told him I'll shoot whenever you want me to, man. I'll be there whenever.
no. This time works. I mean, like it was
Yeah.
free time.
Yeah, no,
but I
this-
mean, it's kind of funny. Like as a business, you are one of our big philosophies here is like saying to existence. So we keep just saying the same thing. Hey, we're gonna be big. We know we're gonna be big, and then we work hard as well. Like a lot of times, I get like 5 hours. I mean, I'll go off of 5 hours if I can get everything done in the day. So I mean,
Yeah,
Just
he
don't
does.
do it where you're driving tired, man.
no.
You know that?
Right.
No,
Don't
my
miss that.
clock is too reversed now where I'm like at night I'm up all night just because of work. So
Right on.
it's only like these
Yeah.
couple hours that I feel it.
Right on.
Yeah. You know, I still got a couple things. You know, we've covered a lot, and
And I apologize, man. I hope that
No.
I'm not pontificating.
no,
here.
you're good.
Okay.
You're good. You everything, and I even have circled right here. It says, "I had that jacket. I wanted to be a renegade." It's sitting right. It's sitting right there. We were going to get to that. Yep. And then I was going to ask you, do you still have yours? And you said
My grandmother does it. Blew me away.
That's cool.
What's
man.
crazy is all these years, I've been coming to my grandparents' house. I had no idea that was hanging in there. And for me to see it, I saw the sign, and then I don't know, man. Maybe it's just like destiny or something to see that.
And then that's just kind of like how I had my windbreaker.
Yeah.
And it turned into a bag.
Yeah.
You know? And like I tell in Juan's episode, I was like, yeah, my mom and dad went and how many of you guys danced? I think there's like 5, 6 of us. So they bought, they're like $11, $12. And
I will tell you, my daughter's the one that said, have it embroidered. All the Renegade
is so
jackets
awesome,
were
dude.
iron on. We couldn't afford
Right, you
that
can afford it
shit
at the
then.
time, yeah.
But she's like, have it embroidered.
Yeah.
And I told her, I said, the Renegade jacket was red and black.
I remember
and she
it was
goes,
red.
She goes, you know what? Class it up. And so we went with white to match your logo. So that's, again, man, let me tell you, I was diagnosed with a condition a few years ago where I may not live as long as maybe I was going to, right? It's a genetic thing. There's not much I can do about it. And I dealt with it then, right? I went through about 6 months of the pity party shit. And then I kind of shook it off. And for a while, I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my kids. I didn't tell anyone. I dealt with it myself, right? I'm very internal about stuff like that. And I made up my mind that I was going to live my life as abundantly as I had been blessed, right?
Yeah.
I really do feel like my life has been blessed, and I have a relationship. I'm not a religious person, but I am a spiritual person, right?
Yeah.
And so raised very, my grandmother always made me go to church,
Yeah.
Catholic, stole the coin box with some friends and then got caught. So yeah,
right.
I really feel like you have to I guess my point is that you have to be willing to look back, and then at the same time, what you've experienced, what you've learned, take it and try to be better every day. And so I realized when that happened, I got that diagnosis. I said, I'm going to live my life as abundantly as I've been blessed, but more than that, every day I'm going to do my best to no longer impact people in a negative way, only positive, and to try to be mindful that I play a role in every interaction with every person I come across to be positive for them or to be negative.
Yeah.
And I should be positive. And that even if someone is negative with me, maybe it's perspective, something I did, that night at midnight, I start all over again. And I put that in practice with everybody in my life. I have cut a few people out of my life that are toxic.
Sometimes you have to. There's just some people like some groups like, hey, like, it's kind of interesting. We're at an important age right now, especially because a lot of kids our age are, just getting out of school and college and this and that. Right. And like we're starting a business and we're goal oriented. We, you kind of have to start separating yourself from people if they don't have the same mindset, if they don't want to be something more. And
and you're
it's
going
a
to
tough
get
spot.
the whole, you forgot where you came from, or you think you're too good. I've dealt with some of that. My son said to me, well, maybe we are better than others. And I thought about that for a second, and he goes, oh, maybe we're better at sticking to our goals. Maybe we're better at believing in each other and pushing each other. It wasn't about being better because we thought we were better.
Yeah, it sounds like a negative connotation, but it's actually, perceptive.
Commitment,
It is like you're better in the sense that, you know what? We wanted it more.
Right.
We had the drive to do it. Doesn't mean we're better as people, but We just
You're
had
sticking
something.
to it. You're disciplined to
Yeah.
do it. So, question for you, to the Star Wars fan:
Yeah.
do you know the Jedi code and what the Jedi's actually stand for?
You mean like
Mm.
the legit?
That right there.
He had a-
Okay.
Crash.
Survey says no. Honor and tradition, right? Honor and tradition. That's the
Okay,
Jedi
I thought you were
way.
meaning like the actual Jedi code.
So that's their basis, right? Yeah, we're gonna get together. I'm gonna have to educate you before I leave.
I told you.
Honor and tradition, right? People think I'm crazy when I say this, but everything I've done, I never really had what do you call it? Traction when I was. I have lived every dream imaginable. You know how when you're young, you go, I'll know I made it when I do this,
Yeah.
and I'll know I've made it when I did that. By the time I was 26, I had already achieved some of the most far-fetched things I had ever imagined as a child. And so then I made some even loftier and higher goals. And I said, I know I'm going to make it when I do this. And by the time I was 30, I had done it. And I went, okay, so I'm not climbing mountains anymore, right? I'm not out. My whole thing in life has been, at least for the last 15 years, maybe a little more, is to help others achieve their ultimate, the apex of what they're going to be able to do, right? I just had a young man reach out to me day before yesterday, and he asked me some questions about the Garth Brooks debacle concert where all that shit happened. And, we exchanged some ideas, and he goes, man, Grado, he's, and I have it in writing too, because in case you need legal proof. And I don't know if I can use his name. I won't. But anyway, he sends me this message, and he says, I want you to know that when you walked into Planet Luna all those years ago, you changed lives, and you maybe didn't know this. Planet Luna was Selena's nightclub, well, AB's nightclub that everybody refers to as Selena's in Corpus Christi, right?
Okay.
And at
You
one
were
point,
there?
I took that over. Well, I took it over and ran Planet Luna for AB. It was, like most nightclubs, there were some challenges. So I took it over and rebuilt the business for them, so to speak, until they could decide what they wanted to. I righted the ship, right, operationally. And he said, the night you walked in there and you took over, he goes, I had never seen a fat Mexican in a suit with so much swag and command the room. And I was like, well, first of all, I ain't fat, I'm chubby.
I'm fluffy.
But I was very, I'm down almost
You look
90
good.
pounds. Thank you, sir. Almost 3 years now. I ride a bike as much as I can every morning. I have a Nordic track, right?
Yeah.
And so, I'm really mindful of it. I want to be healthier, right? So anyway, this kid tells me, he's not a kid anymore. He's 30, 40 years old. He says, you changed my life. He goes, I even ran for mayor, and, he produces events where in his city that he's at, I think he's up in the Midwest somewhere now. And he was telling me all these things, and it gave me validation, right? He humbled me. Right? And so 2 weeks ago, we went out to eat in Tucson, and we're sitting down, brand new restaurant, and this young man comes over to me, name's Garrett, and he says, hey, how are you? I looked up, and I realized it was him, and I jumped up, and he says, I didn't recognize you. You weren't in a suit. And I said, it's good to see you, Garrett. And no other words came out of his mouth after that before he said, I just want you to know this is your fault that I'm doing this. And I went, I'm sorry. He goes, I'm the GM here. And if it wasn't for you giving me the chance to learn, I don't think I'd be doing this. And I want you to know that, and I hugged him, and I can,
Interesting way to start. Your fault. Like,
well, you got to understand the way it is in our industry, right? Because I tell people all the time, I always start the meetings the same way everywhere I go. And I do this in redundancy, right? Because redundancy is repetition leads to emphasis. That's what they teach you in education, right? So I always say the same thing. It's the same spiel. If you live this life, we work nights, we work holidays, we work weekends. We make sacrifices. We're there for everybody's best time, party time, you name it. That's what we do. For us, it's not just work. It is a religion. It is a commitment, right? Everybody else is playing. We're working. We control the chaos so that it looks like we meant that shit.
yeah.
I use the word fuck a lot. And if anybody in the room has a problem with the usage of my language skills, predominantly the word fuck, I need to know that. You tell me, I will go out of my way to change my ways for you as an individual. Some HR policy comes up, somebody says I did this, I'll apologize. But I have to be authentic. Right?
Yeah.
And I will tell you that in all the years of doing it, I never had one person, and I'm talking, I've had thousands of people under me that I've worked with, right, and led, and I've never had a complaint after I've established a relationship with someone. No one has ever gone to HR and said, hey, you used the word fuck too many times or whatever, because I'm authentic about it. I don't just go around going fuckity fuck, right? But it's emphasis. And so I'm proud of the fact that I have aided all these young people. I just did a count. This kid inspired me. 41 plus general managers, 16 plus individuals who own their own companies, right? Their own destinies. I want to tell you something like almost 60 directors or managers across the country, all in industries that I've now interacted with, and they've said it was because of you that I'm still doing this, right? Man, it's a beautiful thing to help people achieve their apex of who they are. I think my superpower is recognizing talent in people and then helping them cultivate it. And it's because I don't really want anything out of it. I'm not trying to climb a ladder anymore.
Right.
I climbed my ladder and I was done with it at 30, you know? I've had 5 my artists that I've represented have 5 Grammy nominations, 6 Latin Grammy nominations.
Who are they?
Jay Perez, Ramirera. Gosh, I mean,
And those guys are just here. Like,
yeah, Jay just did
weeks
a thing
apart.
with the Latin Breed. He was a special guest.
yes,
for
yes,
Fiesta,
I saw
and
him.
Ram played something for Matty Rhodes.
We saw him.
My middle son, so Michael, my son Michael.
Yeah.
A lot of people think Michael's named after my biological father. He's not. And that's not a slight.
Right.
It's just, it happened. So Michael means the protector, right? The protector of, right? Saint Michael. Ramiro means the famous one. Ramiro,
Okay.
He's actually the first person who said to me, Grado, you should bring your ass down to Texas. You do really well down there. And I was like, yeah, I don't know.
Really?
And I actually was going to go work down there for Ram, but the money he could pay me was not right at the time. I was already doing well. I mean, when I was here,
Right.
man, I had my mobile DJ company. I had my sound and light company. I was renting stuff. I did well here. And so fast forward another year, I met Jay. And Jay was like, damn, dude, you could really come down to Texas and clean up. And at that time, I think I was just finishing working in the country world, right? I was doing country stuff. And so I ended up going down and doing a couple things with Jay. But, that's where that all started. And then, I worked with Emilio, and I have a friendship. If you'll see on my Facebook, Emilio used to come up here. I met Emilio in country and had a relationship. There's pictures with my kids. We're little kids with E. And we had a good relationship. We were friends.
Mm-hmm.
And, his kids are doing real well right now. They're, doing Good Morning America.
Wow.
Yeah, the Last Bandoleros. I mean, they're, I have real friends. And then I have some that people think, oh, a lot of these artists that I work with, I don't have constant relationships with, like Frankie, yes, because, we created that. We worked to be in each other's lives. AB is, somebody that I can't say enough good stuff about, right? I always had a bit of a button heads with his dad, but I got a lot of respect for Mr. Q. He's a bad mofo, right?
Yeah.
And to this day, I've still, he's a bad dude, right? But yeah, man, I really feel like that was my destiny. And a young lady from down in San Antonio, her and her husband worked with me. Her husband was our bookkeeper. Now he has his own business and they do a network installation for school districts, right? And again, I feel like that's what you're supposed to do, is try to help lift people up, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And then, and of all cultures, not just Mexicanos, I have some, I call them kids, young men in my life, Romaine, all these kids that I taught them how to do security, or I taught them how to do site protection or people or asset protection, right? Principles. And they all have these business. Romaine was working for, when all the Xboxes, the trucks were getting hijacked, he had a company out there. He was protecting PlayStations, and then he was working for Google. And then, artist security, one of the young men I worked with, I'm very proud of. He's head of security for Katy Perry. He travels all over the world with her. And Steve, he's a just beautiful soul.
Yeah.
I can go on and on about these young people in my life, men and women, that they helped me harness what I could contribute, right? You
Yeah.
know, what my grandfather, all these things my grandfather taught me, you know. Don't make me put a size 10 foot in a number 1 ass. You know, I had to get a little more eloquent about that when I was, you know, but honor and tradition. And that's what it's about. Being honorable, living up to traditions. I would apply it in the food and beverage business. Bartenders, honor and tradition. There's an honor and a tradition to being a bartender, man. Pouring drinks and getting it right. That's a tradition, man. You know, taking care of people when they're out and making sure everybody gets home safe.
Yeah.
That's a tradition. I work with a lot of law enforcement, LEOs, offices of emergency management. I can't say enough about the cats that I worked with at Gila River, Chief Rainbow, Chief Knight, Lieutenant Manuel, you know, all these guys through the years, right? And I've worked in multiple municipalities, you name it, Dallas, Corpus, all of them.
Yeah.
Whether it's working with artists or working with, you know, city leadership, whoever it was, you always look to bring the best out in people. At least that's how I live my life, right? You know, I try to.
Good. Yeah, good for you.
I
Man.
try to. I mean, you know, I didn't make you a renegade when we were kids, but I got to live with that shit, you know?
I'm a renegade now.
You're a renegade now, brother.
Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba. Yeah.
Yeah, don't mess it up. Let's have that moment. Is there anything that you wanted to cover, Red, that we haven't? And I apologize.
No, you're good.
Okay.
But, you know, back to your DJing.
Yeah.
When you used to DJ. You DJed a party, and you invited us up to come to your party. It was up the apartments, Rosedale. I can't remember who lived there. It was in one of those little, their little party room, and a fight broke out. And they were older gentlemen, and I don't know if you remember that. Do you remember that?
I do.
And that's when we were like, oh, shit, Mark's fighting. And these guys were older.
And we dusted those old men off. Yeah, I'm telling you.
I mean, it was just, you know, you son of a bitch.
Let me tell you that I, as a young man, always thought that violence, my grandfather. That's it right there. When I hear that shit, you know some shit's about to get handled, right? You're like, oh shit, it's coming. I, as a young man, you know, again, I told you I had my Uncle Bobby, my Uncle Bernie, and my Uncle David, and my grandfather. And then I had my Aunt Linda, my Aunt Irene, and my mom. And we didn't take no shit from nobody. We're the Grados, right? And there's always people who talk shit about the Grado family. And we didn't care. You know, it is what it is. And we have our own idiosyncrasies, like, as you know how families are, right? We talk shit about each other. You know, we don't. But if somebody fucks with one of us, oh, hell's gonna break loose, right? So the party you're talking about, it was for a family birthday. You guys got invited. We were all hanging out, and it was up at South Mill Hill.
Yes. Was it maybe for Chris or Bernie?
It might have been Chris, right? And so, of course, my Uncle Bernie was there. Everybody, family's there. These older dudes showed up.
Yeah.
They tried to get crazy, and there were 4 of them.
Yes.
and I know who their names are too, right? You know who they are. I won't mention people's names because that's embarrassing to get dusted off by a 17-year-old, 18-year-old kid. My grandfather and my uncles, I always watched them and saw them as, oh my God, you know, they really handled themselves. My grandfather tried to teach me, but I never adapted to he was a full-on boxer, right? Yeah. I never adapted to that style. But what I adapted to was my own version of adapt and overcome and overwhelming force, that kind of thing. So, yes, we did. We handled that. We dealt with those individuals. And, I always thought that, and no bullshit, fast forward, I think I've stopped 2 armed bank robberies, one in progress, one right there at the culmination of the end of it, and you know, stopped it. And because I had a bunch of money I was depositing and I didn't want to get robbed at the bank.
Okay.
So I had to make a choice. Right. But I've also disarmed something like, I think me and Henry, my buddy Henry, counted it up one night, and it's over 1,000 people, you know?
Yeah.
I've always believed that you have to do your part to protect those who are unable or not capable of protecting. I don't like bullies, right? And but yeah, early on I was pretty good at. I realized I was pretty, because I don't know how to put this. During tense and intense situations, I don't lose focus, right? And so I think why it's always been so good at events. When some shit really hits the fan, I'm actually able to stay calm and make good decisions. And yeah, that's happened a lot in my life where, you know, I'm able to maneuver those things. And don't get me wrong. It's not like I haven't had my ass whooped. I've had my ass whooped a few times. I had a woman in Dallas who ended up being the like Texas karate champion. Yeah, you know, she was being a little aggressive we were trying to leave. And, you know, you get to that place where you think, you know what, I'm a badass, man. I can handle that shit, right? And we were on our way out, and Jay's road manager, we were trying to leave the club, and he's trying to get this girl's number, and she just wasn't, you know, as a woman, she wasn't having it. And I said, come on, let's go, Chacho. And he goes out the door, and she said something really derogatory about him. And I said, you know, ma'am, you didn't have to go there. She said something to me, you know, and again, I was heavy. I'm a chubby guy. And I said, but you know what? Let's just say this. She got a little crazy. She got in my face. She busted a bottle.
Dick.
And I said, oh, it's like that? And, you know, I thought I was going to, like, have to fucking, like, manhandle a woman. And I ain't never done that in my life.
Right.
Dude.
Equal rights.
This chick hit me like 3 times in my face before I even got my first hand up, bro. She was a bad oh, dude. It took security to restrain her. She was zapping my ass, dude. She dusted me off. And I was like, oh, shit, it was embarrassing, dude. Jay goes, you got your ass whooped in there by a chick? I was like, yeah, I did, man. I was fucked up. But, you know, I make no bones about it, man. I've lost a few, but I've also, you know, but I don't ever look to, that's not, my end result's never been like to hurt someone. It's always been to subdue them and then hold them down. Yeah. But I've also, you know, I don't know if you've ever fought a friend. I only one time in my life, I allowed myself as a young man to fight a friend. And I lost that fight. I lost it wholeheartedly. Bobby Guerra, who we grew up with. I was an ass. And by all rights, Bobby knocked the shit out of me on Jimmy Gomez's porch. And I didn't fight back the way I would have. Because Bobby,
there was someone else. Yeah.
Bobby was my friend, and again, you know, I look back, man. I wish, you know, I don't talk to Bobby now. I don't even know how to reach him. But if I could say to him, you know, man, that was a stupid thing I did, and I think that was probably we stopped being friends after that. But it wasn't my wish.
It wasn't the same. Yeah,
I was again, Mario. I was an ass as a kid. I think I really, I probably rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. But that's also, it wasn't intentional. And I will tell you that a lot of people confuse my confidence in life as arrogance. And I swear, man, hand to God, it's not. I am confident in my ability because I've proven what I'm capable of. The perception of arrogance, again, perspective, right? Because everybody has their own truth. Comes from, I think, the lack of sophistication or deeper understanding of who I am, right? You know, I get friends who give you those backhanded jabs, you know. I did a thing recently for a client, and it was with Boys to Men and Backstreet Boys, and I think it was NSYNC. And, you know, I'm back. I have relationships with a few of them.
Did you say recently?
Yeah, they were doing a thing in Vegas, right, where they got together.
Yeah.
And then one of my clients
90s.
wanted to do it there in Arizona. Yeah, and so I put them together, right? I put a thing together for them, and I have a relationship with some of these cats, and long history. And so I'm talking, and afterwards, and it's on my Facebook. You'll see pictures. Well, unbeknownst to me, my son's company, who he had founded, he's doing business with Aaron Carter, right? He's the Backstreet. Is he Backstreet Boy?
Yeah.
He was Backstreet, right?
I think so.
And so, you know, I introduced myself.
Backstreet or
is it Backstreet? NSYNC? I don't know. Anyway, he recognizes the name, and we get to talking about it, and, you know, but I get these friends who are like, oh, you think you're, you know, so-and-so because you're, man, I've hung out with people that are, really monster stars, you know, and then I've only had just brief interactions with, you know, celebrities that are, you know, I've helped or done stuff for. You don't have a relationship with everybody, right? But I do try to stay, you know, humble and authentic about those things. But most of the opportunities that I've come across is because I stopped somebody from getting hurt or violence or some crazy shit like that because I observed it, you know? Yeah. Like, you know, coming in here, you old habits die hard, right? You know, I took the MapQuest to get or Google Maps to get here, and then, you know, it took me back here. So while I'm back there,
I apologize for that.
No, it's okay. But while I'm back there, I'm like, okay, well, the building's got 2 exits. It's the front and the back. Yeah. You know, I asked to use the restroom when I got here out of habit because I identified, okay, is this. Those are things that those are survival tactics that come up because that's, if you're handling a client and you're responsible for them, you take them somewhere, you better know how to get in and out.
Right.
You better know how to protect them. I looked around, went through, did the tour, but I'm looking for your AED machine. If I have to do, heart defib on somebody, I'm looking for something goes down at the front door. I'm prepared. And that's just, I don't know how
That's
to
just
say
the way
it,
you
but
roll,
that's
yeah.
just the way I am, right?
Yeah.
But,
After all these years, you're set in stone in that way. Just
and it's tough to change,
Yeah,
sure.
But that's why I make a conscious effort not to be the young man I was, because like I said, I don't think I was a good person then, but I do try now. I try.
I honestly, I never knew you like that, Mark.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've never.
Appreciate that.
I've learned quite a bit today, but to me, you're still the good guy,
I can't tell you what that means to hear that from you, man. You guys in
Grado.
Argentina were awesome. You all changed my life. You changed my trajectory. When I went from the Missouri schools to the Kansas schools, Argentine middle school changed my trajectory.
Yeah.
Again, I did one day of the 10th grade at Harmon. But I don't look back and go,
Right.
oh man, I do regret. I did get my GED through the Guadalupe Center's program. What's really messed up is they kept my ass on those learning programs. I got my GED in it was like a week or two.
Mm-hmm.
Margot Ramirez was the head of the program, and her husband Bernardo. I did their wedding. I DJ'd their wedding. I love them. I still keep in contact with them.
Yeah.
And then I found out years later they never put it through, but I did the test. Boom. And then I've educated myself, or try to educate myself, education in that sense. Again, because I'm a big proponent of education. I believe you should. I've lost some big opportunities because I didn't have a piece of paper.
Yeah.
But I've also gotten even more opportunity from people who recognize the talent and recognize the acumen to say, yeah, help, let's do what you do and show me how to do it. And so I don't look at it in a negative way anymore, but I do encourage young people. If you do take a path, educate yourself to where you're confident. Yeah. You don't need the degree, but educate yourself to where you're confident, right? Like what you're going through, man. Do what delivers the peak you to the world, right?
Yeah.
That's how I look at things, man. How old are you, Mario? You 51?
We're the same age.
We're the same exact age.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're the same age, yeah. Except my birthday's in November, so you're a few months older than me.
Okay. Yeah, man. So, again, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And
Yeah.
hopefully I didn't, incriminate anybody.
No.
Can you edit that out? No.
Yeah, no, this is all good, man. I appreciate you coming in. I appreciate the kind words, he said about me and my boys.
Yeah.
There's others that have said the same thing, that, hey, it's cool that you're working with your sons, that's awesome,
with your brother.
With your brother.
Or with my brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's cool. Yeah. And then, some people have said, yeah, we like listening to Chris in the background. It's cool that you got your third son back there. It's cool that nobody sees him, but we can hear him.
Yeah. You know what? And I always listen for your voice when I'm watching it. I listen for, the chime in. You're kind of like, you're his Ed McMahon, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know who Ed McMahon
is?
No, he doesn't.
Oh my goodness.
Mike Guillermo.
Johnny Carson had his sidekick, Ed McMahon, right? And I always have an Ed McMahon wherever I go, right? And there was this one young lady named Ginger. The last 9 years I had been with an organization, and Ginger was a native community member. And every joke I made, I don't care what, Ginger would just bust out laughing.
Oh, yeah,
and everybody was like, she's your fucking Ed McMahon. I was like, all right, you gotta love it, right? No matter what, she thinks I'm funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're Ed McMahon, but you're not old enough to remember that.
Yeah.
God,
I don't even think Marcos knows who Ed
I know
McMahon
who you're
is.
talking
You should
about.
watch the Johnny Carson.
No, I know who you're talking about.
dry guy
I like
out
that
there.
kind of stuff. I like the old
He's
kind
very
of stuff.
Conan. God, he's judging me right now. I really don't look at me, little puppet. Don't look at me.
Yeah. But
Yeah. So
yeah, but
no,
yeah.
you guys definitely, man. Personally, I think it's a beautiful thing when I watched the show that you had your Moonlight sponsor on.
Yeah. And then that rang a bell for you too. That's small world.
That to me, man, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
He's supporting y'all. He took a chance. He's there with you. That's beautiful, dude. I mean, What liquor store though doesn't love Mexicans? I mean,
Their biggest clientele.
yeah. But you guys, I mean, that's awesome, dude. And it looks like you guys have a genuine relationship, like a genuine friendship relationship.
Yes, I do with Joe Spinello.
Yeah.
Again, yep. Thank you, Moonlight Liquor, for everything. Joe Spinello and I, we go back. I don't know if you listened to his episode, but he has great stories too.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of great stories. And
I saw that he was kind of changing the names of the guilty to protect the innocent.
Well, yeah.
And he has to be very careful. Let me just say, I know some of the old timers. Yes.
Kind of want to try to get a chance to bring in the old timers though. Talk to them.
Yeah. I actually talked to Joe. I talked to him yesterday, as a matter of fact, on my way home from work. And I said, hey, did you ever talk to your dad to see, is he going to come in and talk to us? And he says, no, he's not. He goes, I've already asked him like 2 or 3 times, and he keeps telling me, no, he can't.
Those cats.
You know?
You know
so
what?
I'm like, okay, I understand, you know? But, I've told Joe, I said, if you ever want to, we can use the studio and we can have our own little private session, and we ain't got to put it out there. We could just put it on file. That'll be your guys',
Yeah, let him tell his stories.
Yeah,
you know what? After the show, I'll share something with you from a business perspective that you should look at opportunities, things like that.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah,
I was even going to ask you what do you think of this? What is there a way you can
I think you guys are really you have a big head start here. My son-in-law, he has a photography he does back in Tucson, but he does high-scale homes, high-end homes, right?
Yeah.
He does all the real estate photography, and then he has another company. I think he just sold it where he did high school. He had contracts with high schools. He would go in Lux Photography, I think is what it's called.
Okay,
So he took pictures of the kids in their sports stuff and turned them into
Their posters
their
and
cards,
right?
But he started out doing music videos for rappers, right? And he was a rapper himself, and but he had all the equipment, and so he would shoot music videos, and he had a basic fee to give you a packaged 3-minute video.
Yeah.
And, that's where it kind of catapulted him. You guys are head and shoulders when it comes to podcasting. I really think what your business model is here, while you have you're creating your own network. I think you really ought to, encourage getting the word out someone could walk in here and do their own podcast,
And these guys do the editing for, and my nephew Eastside does. He's the one that he asked me, hey, Theo, what kind of logo do you want? And I said, okay, this is what I envision. I'm a Ren DMC fan. Put the bars in there.
Yeah.
Let's go Big Mod. Boom. He created the logo, and
no, you guys are off to a fantastic start. I think you guys are on your way to something incredible.
I hope so, man. I hope so. Right. Yeah. I'm not looking to make money. I'm looking to have fun like this.
I have not worked a day in my life.
If you enjoy what you're doing.
I have never worked. Now, I've had jobs. I worked at American Sunshine Biscuit. I worked there as a kid for insurance, right? When I was having my kids. Didn't last long. I worked at Schmidt and Klaus. I was wholesale floral. I know, like your bag. I did that shit this morning. I stopped at Target. I did that. I learned that on the side. Those guys showed me how to do flowers and stuff because I was delivering flowers, right? Because I was trying to make money to buy more equipment, right?
Yeah.
So I've had other jobs, but it was all in the quest of where I was trying to get to. When I look back, I remember my grandfather's hands,
rough, tough,
and
rough
I think
and tough and all that stuff.
I'm blessed, right? Because
dancing prance to you,
and that's the
There's
thing.
no way you can get enough
Yeah.
of me, your Mr.
Yeah. So I think about that, and I think if you love what you do and you apply it, and you can make money off of it, make a living, right? Again, my life's been very blessed, man. And I've had rough times,
Yeah.
I've opened and closed things and lost things, and in 2007 when the economy crashed, man, I lost a lot, man.
Lost a lot.
I lost like
A
7
lot.
figures, yeah.
Híjole.
And it hurt.
I
right?
bet.
My self-worth, I was ready to eat a bullet or take some pills and call it. I was like, I was hurting because I that was where my life pivoted, because I had placed so much value. Because again, I didn't know we were poor. We weren't poor. We were broke. Right. But I had gotten to this place where it was so much better, and then all of a sudden it was gone. Yeah. And I thought, oh shit. And my grandfather, I remember my grandfather came home and he told me, he said, we're standing out on the side of the yard there, and he said to me, that don't mean shit, right? Yeah. It don't mean shit. You got all them houses, you got all them cars, you He said, you can't sleep in but one bed at a time. I'll never forget my grandfather. He was full of wisdom, right? Experience. He said, you can't drive but one car at a time. You can't sleep but under one roof at a time.
That makes sense.
And he said, but if you're lucky, son, you can be loved by so many at one time. And that started, messing with me. My grandfather was always who I turned to. I remember when I got diagnosed, I thought about how he would feel and think about my situation, right? And anytime I felt down on myself, funny story, I wanted to quit school when I was 16. I wanted to quit school, and my grandfather, I was trying to talk to him, to tell him I'm going to quit school. And I remember following him out my grandparents' house, and we're walking across the street, Grado Mountain, right? Yeah. And I said, hey, Gramps, I'm going to quit school. And I saw your laughter at Grado Mountain. I'll explain that later if we have time. I said, Gramps, I want to quit school. And he stopped, and I remember he was wearing his pachetas, right, his overalls. He was fixing something at my mom's house because I lived with my grandparents right across the street. I stayed with them, right? My mom and my stepfather lived across the street. So I went across, and he stopped, dead in his tracks. And my grandma was standing on the porch. And he said, what'd you say? And I said, I want to quit school. And he goes, quit school? You a man? And I said, yeah, I'm a man. I make my own money. I got my own car. I'm ready to get my own place. I'm ready. He goes, I'll tell you what, I'll make you a deal. And, my grandfather had this way about him, right? Again, much more eloquent. There was a lot of F-bombs. And I said, okay, well, what's the deal? And he, out of nowhere, my grandfather hit me. And I mean, he had never hit me like this, right? And I remember seeing the stars. Yeah. And I remember going to scream, and and then I went, and I couldn't even hear myself scream. It was so loud. It was ultrasonic, right? And I went backwards and I hit, and I just remember what woke me was my grandmother hollering. My grandfather's nickname was Rabbi. Yeah. Rabbi, what's wrong with you? This motherfucker wants to quit school. And my nose erupted, right? I'm bleeding. It's a bleeding nose. It's not even a bloody nose. It was a bleeding nose because it was just going to keep bleeding and bleeding, right? And he picks me up. He goes, you're a man, right? And I'm like, yeah, Gramps. And he said, I didn't hit you as hard as life's going to hit you. Now you get your ass to school because you ain't ready yet for what life's going to do to you. Okay, well, and I'm there.
He knows all might be broken.
And he goes, when you could take a hit without screaming, I'll let you quit school. And that was like, oh shit, I'm not a man. I just got fucked. I was screaming like a little bitch. Yeah. And that was the way he taught lessons, people always like,
tough love.
You ain't scared of that. You ain't scared of this. Yeah. Motherfucker, I held a flashlight in wintertime underneath a car for my grandfather. You hold a flashlight in the winter while he's fixing a car. You don't know how many names you got cussed out. And then go find me a 9/16 wrench. That's fear. Walking to the toolbox in the dark and snow's falling and you're looking for a 9/16 wrench and you don't know what a 9/16 is. Yeah. And he would tell you, you ain't got enough sense. God gave a rat, or you're useless as tits on a boar. That was one of his marquee ones, right? And then you fast forward in life, you're like, does a boar need tits? I mean, I don't know. My grandfather always had these colloquialisms of, he hit you with some shit like that. And I tell you, my Uncle Bobby is who carried that on. My Uncle Bernie's real reserved, but my Uncle Bobby, he's who he'll cut you up. We're linguistic ninjas, right? He'll make you like you'll need therapy. Like no bullshit, dude. My Uncle Bobby, like people in my circle think, man, you're brutal when you you're a wordsmith when you come to cut somebody down. I was like, I ain't shit. And my Uncle Bobby, you know my Uncle Bobby.
Yeah, I know you.
First time I brought some friends to the house. We were in the backyard, and he goes, I see you brought your friends, but I don't see these motherfuckers brought any beer. Yeah. And my friends are like, I would have brought beer, I didn't know. Yeah, dude, Uncle was brutal, man. But, good people. But
that's funny.
Yeah, I love him to death, man. Like I said, I had a very unique upbringing, very fortunate. Sure. But yeah. There you go. I guess that's my life story. If this gets,
I feel like that's only part of it.
If this gets subpoenaed, can y'all burn the tape?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to do a part 2, man. Maybe you guys come out to Arizona.
Yeah, we'll have to go finish it out in Arizona.
Yeah, man. Or, come and do a backstage, or something, one of the big events. I'll talk to, my buddies and my partners. And
let us know, and if we can figure out a way to get there.
Do
and
you guys golf?
I do.
We can now. I do, yeah.
I play.
So the Ritz is right there, literally by the next to the house. They have a great golf course, and there's some great golf courses. I have a lot of friends that can hook you up. I have a lot of the guys, come play golf and hang out.
That'd be cool.
My house is your house, man.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, I appreciate you guys having me today. Yeah. I hope we accomplished.
Yeah, we did.
And again,
great
man,
episode. Great episode.
Thank you guys for what you're doing. Yeah. Thank you guys for the inspiration that you're providing to others who maybe didn't think they could do this. And I'll bet you there's somebody out there watching going, man, I think we could do that. I mean, you guys you represent something that to me is very unique to see a father-son and to see Mexicanos, and I think that's awesome. And the fact that, it's your other son's out here, the quiet, type, and then the other one, you hear his passion about the barbershop show. And
he wants to do
it in his voice.
Yeah,
man.
he wants to. He's
beautiful, man.
Yeah, he's determined. He wants to get shit done.
And if you read on the board out there, because I have one that I'm working on as well, where
we'll check it out at the end of the episode.
It's the middle one.
I can't see that damn
Mark's
far.
Movie Madness,
Mm-hmm.
Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh, I've seen it, but it's not Bruce Willis, is it?
No, it's Kurt Russell.
It's Kurt Russell.
Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it for anybody. The Godfather. Have you ever watched The Godfather? Yeah. 2 and 3. The one is again for.
And I'll tell you more about it after.
done.
I'll tell you more about that's part of the whole thing. I want to be an actor. Is I'm huge into movies. I love I love everything about them.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, because you're talking about earlier all these young kids that you met that went on. I'll be your next one. I'm your next young kid.
You know what? Let me tell you, I would be happy to introduce you to anyone that I can, or to co-sign. We call it co-signing in our industry.
Yeah.
Right? I'll co-sign for you with anybody because you are of your father. I would imagine that his determination, it looks like it's rubbed off on the whole family, his commitment. Most people in our industry, in the entertainment industry as a whole, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's the guys on the back end, whether, you're the production companies or you're the guys on the front, the facing, all of us have one thing in common. We are bound and determined to do it, right? I see that already. You ain't got to worry. You're going to make it. Now, the question is going to be what is it you really want to do? Because see, my whole motivation, he could tell you my whole big thing back in the day when I was DJing, Red and Willie were my arch nemesis. And that's Lewis's uncle. And Mr. Tony Villegas I love that man, right? Lost him during COVID, right?
Right.
I missed one of his phone calls. We kept in a lot of contact, right? 20 years, 25 years between us. That man and his family we talked a lot of shit, right? Red and Willie, but that was the DJ thing. I have so much respect for Red and those guys were doing what I wanted to do, right? They were the ones who everybody called to do that was my big competition, right? They were getting all the gigs. Yeah. But Mr. Villegas, I left him a voicemail after he passed because I didn't get to say goodbye properly to him. And that's why I always make sure that I finish what I start and I stay committed to things, because a man like that believed in me. Even all the shit I talked about, but he knew that was the persona, right?
Yeah.
He always was willing to help me. He was always, no matter what, and he always used to tell me, your grandpa, he's a good man. Same thing. Because I believe in who your father was to me, I owe you at least that, right? And getting to know you, just this few minutes, getting to know your brothers. He says he's a Star Wars fan. I don't know. I'm really doubtful.
Look at that look. Look at that look he's giving.
Very doubtful, but
I told you to be ready.
I will definitely do what I can to aid you, but I will tell you that you've already got 95% of what you need. It seems like you guys are already bound and determined to do it. And all you really are looking for is that brief opportunity.
That's really what it is. I mean, I've stepped my mark. I've gone out there and I'm getting like these small opportunities. I'm setting up a platform myself, like something I can, help myself out. But it's just like that one opportunity. I'm ready. I'm looking for it. I'm looking for where I can find it because I'm ready. Yeah. Because I know it sounds like a selfish thing, but if you don't have that, I have that drive where I want to be that guy.
Right.
Especially like right now in terms of like stars. It's there's not too many Hispanic stars out there that you can really say like, hey, that's that guy, like that you see a lot of times. Like for example, like because again, like big into movies. For example, like when Chadwick Boseman came out, like when R.I.P. for him, but he was huge in the African American community because like everybody could look to that character.
Yeah.
We don't have that.
He inspired.
He did, and like I have yet to think that we have that necessarily in the Hispanic community in terms of not necessarily just in superheroes, but like that guy. Like he's always in something. Like you just know, like it'll be something good out of him.
Take a lesson. You're 23, right?
Yeah, a lot of
Please
time.
do not take this the wrong way, because I was 23 years old and a shit ton of mistakes. Take the lesson and looking around you and understanding. For me, one of my heroes is Anthony Orpeza, because he drew a comic book character,
Amigo Man.
And when I did the Expo Americas a few years back at Union Station, I did a education component to it, right? Again, because I believe in that. USLA, I think, is who we were working with, USHLA. Anyway, Anthony's Amigo Man character inspired me, right? What Anthony's doing is amazing. And I've known Anthony since I was, Lewis baptized my son, Mark. And so, again, familial connection in that sense. But I'm inspired by that. That's what I'm saying to you is that you have somebody around you who is doing exactly what you just described. So for you to say, I'm going to take it to the next level, you'll make someone like Anthony proud. You'll make him proud to know that, you brought that to the table. That's what I'm saying. He's got, this desire to be in movies, to do all that. I think that's awesome, man. I think you guys are going to make an exponential impact on this. And I don't disagree with him. There should be more Mexicanos out there that make a real impact into the movies, into entertainment. Look what Bad Bunny's doing. He's, Puerto Rican. I mean, man, that's a celebration for what that guy's doing.
He's doing
killing
his
it.
thing. Yeah.
I just saw on the billboards, Fideme is coming to Sprint Station. They're a big Mexican regional group.
Yeah.
And to see a big Mexican regional group at the Sprint Center, right? I mean, I know we've had Vicente there, and we've had, but
Los Tigres,
Yeah.
they've come into town.
but it's just, it's one of those things, man, where the more you see it, the more normalized it becomes. Your Target just down the road, when I went to get your bag,
yeah,
there's Mexican products in their shirts and baby clothes, Mas Corazon, and
yeah, you're starting to see that.
yeah,
now.
man, that to me is beautiful. That's that's beautiful. That's where it's at.
It's how this all comes around. You just told that story about your Uncle Bobby telling, hey, where's the beer? You're telling your friends. Willie, Uncle Willie. I call him Uncle Willie. I was just with him a few weeks ago. We at Lewis's house watching the Chiefs game. Unfortunately, it was the one that they lost, right?
Yeah.
So he wasn't too happy about that. He went. So a time before that, we got together. It was earlier in the summer, and I walk in with my cooler, and he just looks at me and says, "What do you got in there?" And I said, "Ice." He's like, "Where's the beer?" I said, "I'm sorry, Uncle Willie. I was just asked to bring ice. Bring beer." So then the last time we got together, I said, "Uncle Willie, I got some beer here for us." And I gave him all my Bud Light. He kept asking, boom, here you go, Uncle Willie.
Yeah. You know what, man? You got to pay homage to the guys that were before us. Again, for me, I always came from a place of mad respect. Yeah, and you talk trash. It was hype, right?
Yeah.
But those cats were, Red and Willie were.
Yeah.
They were. Who didn't want to be those guys, man?
Right.
They did everybody's
did.
Party, right?
They did.
And I wanted to. I wanted to do it, and so it was an honor for me to be compared to those guys back then, because they were the old dudes that had it going on.
I know, right?
Dude.
Yeah. And then Lewis would sometimes step in for his uncle, or he'd have to step in for Mr. Villegas.
Yeah, and you know what, Red. I remember talking shit to Lewis. I was like, bro, don't fuck up Red's legacy. I used to fuck when we were younger, dude. I did, and because Lewis was not the DJ, bro. I mean, he was okay, but he wasn't gonna, he wasn't gonna beat mix nothing and keep the party rolling. When I used to do those gigs, man, I mean, my weddings, my quinceañeras, my whatever gig I was doing, it was my goal to make those things the party, right? Whenever I teach new DJs at new venues or nightclubs that I would open, I would tell them all, be confident, right? Be confident, because that's that's the secret ingredient, right?
Be confident.
That's be confident, right?
Yeah.
Know that you can walk in at any moment and take over a nightclub,
Right.
the music, a stage, just like that, and kick its ass better than the guy that was standing there doing it.
Right.
You guys, do you clean your furniture at home? Ever use a can of Pledge in your life?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, pledge.
You go back a few years, a can of Pledge, right? I tell this story all the time. You get a can of Pledge, and somewhere there on the directions it says, "Use with confidence." Okay. If the shit worked, why do I have to use it with confidence?
All right.
Because if you're confident that it works, it will work.
It will work.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I use that to demonstrate that it's about believing. It's about you believing that you're going to do it. You're 23. There's a lot of time in front of you. Take in all the experiences you can, and remember perspective. Everybody has a truth, right? You get people say, "Oh man, they lied," or "Oh, this." It's perspective. It's not lies, man. Everybody has a perspective, right? What is it? The one man's treasure is another man's trash, or beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's some ugly motherfuckers out there that they need a pork chop so the dog will play with them.
Correct.
That's different, right? That's a different.
Yeah.
I'm fucked up right now. Can you edit that out, please?
Okay.
Bottom line is that you're probably going, he's such a hypocrite. I thought he was trying to be a good guy. I'm still got to be authentic. Bottom line is his confidence, man. Use with confidence. That's life, man. And you guys, I'm sitting here in your podcast, right? I'm envious, right? My buddy Henry was like, "Man, we should do a podcast and just talk about all the nightclub stories and all the shit." I'm telling you, bro, I could tell you some stories that you'd be like, "Oh shit, we should probably edit that out." Like things have happened, and I could tell you stories about artists.
What we do is we put you in silhouette, so it'd be all anonymous.
Yeah, and then change my voice.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. No, I'm telling you, I'm envious of you guys, man. You guys you're living it. You're living a dream that.
Yeah.
You say you write, and I would definitely like to connect with you. I want to write a book, and the name of my book.
I'm telling you, like this whole time sitting, your life story, and we said this about Joe Spinella too, because he's lived quite a life. You lived quite a life.
Thank you.
Write it. Another guy who's done another person who does a podcast. He did some time. Like he started off rapping, then he got caught up in something. No.
No, that's what it's called. He went to college. He went away to college.
Okay. Yes.
That's a major education.
He was at State.
Yeah.
He was at State for some years.
Right on. Yeah.
And he's got a story, and he's working on his right now because he did a complete, 180 on his life, and he's doing great things right now himself, writing his book, and it's a good story too. I mean, get out there, write a book.
I guess for me, I want to write a book, and I've already got the name of it, and I know what the principle of it is. I was a grandson. I am a son. I am a father, and I'm a grandfather.
Yeah.
I think that there's people out there that might find value in understanding that Latin men, Mexican men, we tend to get taught culturally not to share authentically, to be strong, to be in power, to be brave, right?
Yeah.
But not to show emotion. My grandfather always said, it's okay to be emotional. You just don't have to show those emotions.
Yeah.
And I think he was wrong. Now, I'd have never told him that shit to his face because he would have whooped my ass.
Because he'll take another punch to the nose.
You ain't a man.
Being emotional and demonstrating emotions is two different things. But I believe that there's value for people. Yeah, I could tell you some things that are just, you'd be like, oh shit. There are life's truths. And I wouldn't be standing here if it wasn't for, there's a couple gentlemen out there. And again, I won't say their names because they did change my life in a way that they gave me an opportunity.
Yeah.
And I love him to death. First name's Alex. And he gave me a choice. Him and his partner, his buddy, said, commitment and cooperation. And I use this today when I educate and train. Do you know the difference between commitment and cooperation? Do you eat breakfast?
Yeah.
A pig commits to breakfast. A chicken cooperates. The chicken says, here's an egg. Don't fuck with me. The pig says,
I am the breakfast.
I'm committed. Take me.
Huh.
That, I'll never forget that. I got that speech. It was probably about 1 a.m. First time I got it. Commitment and cooperation. And I chose commitment. And it changed my life, right? It changed my life. That's my point. is that I believe that there are men, especially Hispanic men, and I believe that there are people, women, that could learn or appreciate that we don't have to be what our culture has created from what we're supposed to be. We can be anything we want, and especially if we want our kids and our grandkids to be what you have here, Mario.
Yeah.
You got some great kids here who are destined to do good things. You did that because you probably weren't the quote unquote the average role model for these young men. You gave them opportunities to show them who you are, right? They're showing you who they are because you showed them who you are. You're a good dad. You know, your wife, I don't have a relationship with your wife. And what's crazy is when I felt horrible that I couldn't reach out to her when I was trying to get this damn logo. And I reached out to AO and he was like, no, I'll talk to her. And we were trying to hide it from you. And I said, and tell
You
his
guys did a
son,
good job,
your
man.
bunk ass better answer their email, man. Because I was freaking
I
out.
even told him. I said,
know.
I said, I think Mark might have been trying to get a hold of you. I
And
said,
I told you, I remembered. I was like, I remember seeing it one night. Like I woke up in the middle of the night and I saw that there was a message.
But
And
we're not friends, so it would have come
and
across the permission to send you a message.
It did. It came across like the first time I remember seeing it, and I remember like falling back asleep, and then I went back on message. I'm
He
like,
said,
well, I mean,
boring asshole man.
I just saw that it said a message.
oh,
I didn't
shit.
really.
He must have been trying to get a hold of my dad, not me.
I didn't remember. I remember seeing it. Then I remember going back to bed, and then when they brought it back up, I went through a message. I'm like, wait, I could have sworn I saw his name, but it didn't. It
Doesn't show as a message because it was a request. Because I'm not friends with him. But yeah, man, you know what, dude? Like I said, I want to do something. I want to leave a legacy. I do. I hope I've left a legacy of good people behind me that I've helped. But more than that, I want to leave something to demonstrate that we don't all have to be what, some people use the word heritage and they try to wrap it around this. It should be you know what our heritage is? Our heritage is your son living up to the heritage that his dad was a good dad. Your other son's falling in line. You guys are building a business together. I hear you guys talking about building our own network. Bro, that's monumental. Yeah. Like, it's crazy. You're going to build your own network. Right on.
Yeah, that's we're calling it what? The NSPN.
NSPN. I hope they don't come at you.
Well, that's what I said.
That's ESPN. No, we're NSPN.
Yeah.
The No Solutions Productions Network.
Right on, man. Well, listen, I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
And again,
thank
we'll
you
talk
for
off
being here.
camera about some opportunities.
Okay.
Surprisingly, we went for 2.5.
Heck yeah,
Doesn't
this
feel
is
like
good.
it does it.
Oh, shit. I apologize.
No,
I thought you had to be somewhere.
No. You know what, man? It was important to me to be here after all our conversations.
Yeah.
But more than that, I'm telling you, man, and I don't mean in a bad way.
Yeah.
Part of being reflective now at 52, right? I've retired once and I'm trying to do quasi slow down. I can't retire. I need to work, right?
Yeah.
I'm really trying to make sure that when I'm no longer here, if someone ever comes up to you and says, hey, did you know Mark Grado? They might have a bad story to tell you about me. Their perspective might be I was a bad person to them, or I did something wrong to them. And they might absolutely be right because that's their truth. I'll hope you'll be able to say, you know what? He was all right with me.
Yeah.
And he was honest.
First I told him, fuck off.
No, don't do that.
Okay.
Because I won't be there to save your ass if it comes to, how shall we say, fisticuffs. I don't do that as much anymore, man. I really have had to slow down because everybody's got a gun now.
I know, right?
That doesn't scare me either.
A gun or an X-Acto knife.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. I'll show you some shit off camera. But no, it's one of those things, man, where I am trying to make sure that anybody that may have something authentic and honest to say that was wrong that I did because I created that issue for myself. I hope there's at least 2, if not 3 people that will say he might have, he said he probably did, but he did try to do better by me. Right. That's my goal, is to leave something behind that people can be proud to say, yeah, the guy was good to me. That's all I'm looking for. I'm not, I want to get into heaven, but unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen. There's a lot to atone for in that sense. And I know that's why, probably I won't die anytime soon because the devil's going to be like, oh no, if his ass gets down here, he's going to take over. and I will, right? Because everywhere I go, that's primarily what happens, right? So I take over shit.
That's funny.
But I appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me today.
Thank you for being on.
Thank you, Moonlight Liquors, for supporting these guys. Go out there and drink. And for all you guys out there, listen, man, I think recipes. Share some recipes.
Well, yeah,
because that'll get
we'll
picked
keep
up.
that. We'll keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
try
man.
to do something like that.
And I'll
I've
send
never
you a
thought
bottle of wine when I get my stuff. I'll send you a bottle of wine.
Okay,
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Try it. I don't drink, but I will drink. I'm bougie. I'll drink
Yeah.
this wine from Italy that's really good. I mean, dipped cookies in it. Swear to God, the guy goes, "Well, we had a white one,
Maybe a cracker
and
like
he's no, it
cheese.
was a cookie made with olive oil." And I said, "We're going to dip it in wine? What kind of bullshit?" Oh shit! Can I get another cookie? Yeah, I mean, dude, open my eyes up to different kinds of wines, and so now, yeah, I'm starting to explore.
That's cool, man. Good for you.
But that just with wine, not with anything else. I don't want you to get the wrong ideas.
All right. Well, Mark Grado, thank you for coming in, man.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you
and,
to you
and for
and
the
your
kind
boys and
words,
family.
and you're the first to get emotional. You made me emotional.
I know that was making. I was
And-
like, oh
Sorry.
man.
No, it's good. It's good because I'm an emotional guy as well. And Renegades.
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. Just
I-
you're gonna have problems though now because the Renegades were West Side and
I know.
yeah.
But I was friends.
Ledez, you're a
with
Ledez fan.
Yeah. I don't know if you.
Those are good kids. Marky and those guys. I brought them to Kansas City
Marky
the first
and-
time. They were 17.
Oh, really?
He was 17 years old. I was in Market Square, San Antonio, Texas. Saw them playing,
Yeah.
and I said, I got to help those guys, right?
Mark and David.
Mark and David, right?
David, yeah.
Fast forward, I put them in Jay's band. I went after
Yes.
them to come to Jay's band.
I remember you said that, yeah.
Marky played keys and backup, and then Little Dog, we call him Little Dog, right?
Yeah.
Little Dog sang backup for Jay, and then their brother, Filthy Rich. Well, I call him Filthy Rich. Rich, he's the bass player.
Yeah.
And Rich will tell you, I'm also who fired all of them. There's funny stories, but maybe we'll do a part 2.
We'll have to.
someday.
We'll have to come
Yeah.
down to you.
Yeah,
We'll,
we'll
do
come.
the part
We'll come
two.
to your
We'll
place
fix-
and do this in your living room.
Absolutely. And I'll make some food.
Oh, that'll work.
I do a lot of food, so right on.
All right.
Thank you guys.
Yeah. Thank you,
All right.
Mark. That was good.
That was a great episode.
Yeah.
That was
Thank
great.
you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen.
That was great.
Yeah. It's great. Yeah. Everyone out there, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to the Big Modcast. Until then, we'll see you.